let's just get into it. We're ready to go. The last day here at the PPMI. Let's get it on.
Away we go. It is time to get everything set up for game number 1 of day 3. It's all on the line. Toffee's here with me, taking you through all of the action. And we are kicking it off on the map that has been getting so much attention today.
It's gonna be a big day. This is the last 5 games of a 15-game series, $50,000 for first, and it's even bigger than that. You can watch the perspective of every single pro who's out there. You can go over and watch their streams, and as the door to Tego opens, it opens the door for you to see everything from all of your favorite streamers, their perspectives. We even saw some gems, things we won't repeat, come out from some of those streams yesterday. So I encourage you to pop open that second monitor, but also stay here because we're going to be calling all the action. We're following your Western teams as well as the teams that are in the race. And to me, it has been an incredibly fun event in terms of showcasing the different pacing style that we're going to get, as this is the first matchup big championship. We are crowning the first international TPP champion since 2018, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some show matches, a couple of things here and there, but nothing on this scale. And I love the way that this has been set up, where we're getting like prize pools per match, overall day winner, and then like a grand total winner. And so there's just every single kill matters. It's got its own money that's going to be backing it, and it's really invigorated a lot of these squads to realize if they're in a bad spot, hey, at least maybe I can try to find like an extra $300-400 by just ruining this other squad's day before I go out.
Yeah, I think it's going to drive players to play it a little bit differently, right? And this idea that, oh man, we're at the bottom of the board. If you're Petrichor, it's not, you don't have to mail it in, right? Under normal circumstances, Petrichor would be like, well, guys, let's just die quick and move on, right? But that's not the case, because if they have a day of their life, they'll get a little extra cash, but more importantly, they'll win $5 grand for having the best day ever, right? Plus kills, money for kills. So I do think this motivates a lot of players to get out there and get active early as Hakatori pulls out the bolt action, says it's worth a couple of shots over towards AL. Actually, it's worth a charge.
I mean, at least try to
Oh my god,
territory control on this, is that this has been
здорово, здорово, Чечен.
This is a very hefty commitment to go after it.
Почему рекорд, по-моему, 12 часов там был, когда первый день теста баджета был. Так получилось просто. Мы в ББ поиграли и в обычный пабг. И с Макичем, и с Таней. Все успел наш пострел. Че, плохо что ли было? Нормально, продуктивно. Много чего интересного поделали. Конечно, нормально. А теперь я посмотрю конкретно ТПП турик. А че они третьего лица лутаются? Или это вид камеры просто такой сделали? Обозреватели. Они по-любому от первого лица лутаются. О, да, в дом заходит от первого лица инст, потому что поиграл много, очень много наиграл от первого, но типа в дома не заходит от третьего. Это факт. Только бобусы от третьего в домах, ну, залетают, короче. Так, а чё у нас там вообще по сеточке-то? Кто там? Чё там? Твисты, третье место. Ой, умнички. Здорово, Бонзик. Даже скажи, что это чудес. Вообще великолепно. Тогда слушай. Здорово. В смысле, они тут соседа приехали душить? Сука, угла... Еще базукой, что ли? Бля, это Томпсон. Томпсон такая параша просто. Это просто такая хрень. Из всех ППшек Томпсон лютейшее говно. Так, твисты, третье место. Я рад. А FS есть? Или им все, победили и идите отсюда, давайте гуляйте. Инсай, привет.
Do believe that we have Mark sitting on
As we go through
standby.
transitions, Mark's got to get in here. Come on.
Let's tag in Mark as he's got some extra information for us, and let's get an idea.
ПП турик я еще, наверное, не смотрел. Хочется,
Here with us
хочется.
yet?
Смотрим.
We'll give him a second. We know. Looking at the setup for the circle right now, external teams that are going to be on the move is going to be T1 just now getting into the circle. The freaks are going to be just to the north of them. Looks like they might be.
Пацаны даже скины поставили, потому что ТПП играет, конечно, без скинов. Ну а что, скины прикольно. Ты ж перса видишь?
Of course, the expendables in anyone's legend that we just saw a second ago. FW and Furio all still outer lays on this one as JDG is now starting to cross the bridge right down below them to the south.
Но самый главный их кайф заключается только в одном на данный момент, я уверен в этом. Что они ездят просто на машинах от третьего лица. Успел уехать.
Very close to twisted on this. This is just a grouping around center right now, so couple of jockeying points for position, but I don't think that 17 is gonna over.
Чё, как убил, кстати? Там какая-то стратегия-то есть или чё? Или просто вот он тэпается и по каплям выносить его? Ну какая-то тактика.
The whole objective now for Navi today is going to go aggressive. They really want to climb this leaderboard. They're going to try and get as many kills and bag as much money as they can. On the other side, though, we've got teams like Furia. They want to try and get the lessons learned, though, from the last 2 days. And again, it's about keeping bodies alive for them. So for them, it's about keeping.
Самое главное не стоять на воде.
Back to you guys.
Jinji making a dedicated push right on the T1. Our present leaders. One player already.
А платформа там где?
Jinji trying to get a climb on the leaderboard, down in 14th right now, but there is a chance for a big climb.
Ну я понял, ладно. А что с него падает что-нибудь интересное?
T1 wanting to play a bit safe at the start.
Саня, привет.
Ой, арабратик, здоровочку. Спасибо.
Playing as well as I hoped that they would during the re-emergence of TPP, but I think give them a little bit of time. There's been a lot of this.
Там же нет платформ никаких.
For PGC with that hopes of sort of coming out here and
вроде.
TPP is what they deserve to have. Meanwhile,
не
we've got
заметил.
17 who has been wicked consistent. They're up on top of the hill. 7-7-0 gets that knock on Hakatori, but extends is immediately there for the trade.
17, look at Little Ghost on the other side of this, setting up a bit more of a strong angle on the side. Looks like it's not going to be capable of getting a flush onto Hakatori. So just
А, там есть лестница, да? Наверх забираешься и убиваешь просто? Я просто вот лестницу не заспотал. А, короче, платформа-то где? Какая?
That as we see some more pressure coming out. Freaks was peppered by Bagopod, but they've got to turn back around as Akon gets knocked. DL out on the right side, trying to go head-to-head with Pio.
Робот-пулемет.
Surrounded. Guman also flooding the zone, and he's got a little bit of help from Park Pro up on the bridge, but Salute's got him pinned down. I really feel like this is a win scenario.
А знаете, в чем прикол, мне кажется? Что кто лабы рейдит, просто если какие-то роботы-пулеметы ставят на вход, что и идет просто металлическая вокруг просто. А, ну ладно. Странно. Вроде везде вода была.
This is a rotate situation that happened up around the shipyard bridge line, but PO on the side flank. This could come up pretty big. Get some damage onto Salute. But doesn't manage to take down anybody, at least being a bit more vulnerable. Park Pro playing from that angle, they might not know that PO is here. That nade they could think came out from him. And PO is just creeping closer and closer by the second.
Он хоть раз там останавливался? Или постоянно тэпается?
Bouncing there, but he's about to dissipate on his first smoke. I don't think they're prepared for PO to be willing to backstab this. They thought he would withdraw after the earlier exchange, but he is very, very close. There's the spray. As Park comes back behind cover, gets that knock on Salute, and DL trying his best to put in cover and lock down Park Pro.
Блин, у них вижен есть третьего лица теперь. Не знаю. Лишний раз тут не попикают.
Yes, of course, Songjong in a vehicle coming up to support, surrendering that back position that he's got, get closer, but it's all on to DL.
А, да, он делает захват разума на одного, а двое в этот момент его пиздят, правильно?
And PO realizes instead he's gonna go flank down below the bridge. Is DL even expecting this? Because PO could yet again be the X factor that turns this around. And DL, I think, is starting to get an idea that things could go awry.
You can hear a little bit of movement there, but PO has the peak advantage here as he tries to come up this hilltop as long as DL is back by that car. Park Pro and Songjung continue to move forward, playing this very, very aggressively. PO slowly but surely should see him in the grass in 3, 2, 1. He doesn't look to the right. He actually
Охуеть, посмотри, что делает, он в машине сидел. Не, он за тачкой сидел, пересел на заднее сиденье и из тачки его ёбнул. Гений. ППшный.
DL played that so well. PO had an idea that he was there, and I guess just thought he repositioned. Went for the easier shot.
Ну так
And the
хуярь.
Freaks now starting to get themselves back into a much stronger position. Using DL
Ничего
so
интересного.
efficiently. Songjung on the other side of this one, just kind of trapped. Look at this point that he's having to play from right now. He can't get the peaks, but he could potentially drop down low and go for a flank around.
It's a really cheeky spot because he can call movement without exposing himself to the entire TNF Freaks and then get a backstab when they stand up. Really smart to move forward on that ledge. A lot of players are not going to be utilizing that. You can see
Ёб, нифига он тут нашел местечко.
Heaven did hear something.
А, они идут смотреть, они идут искать.
Till this smoke dissipates in order to make sure he covers that play.
Very sneaky. Is he just going to go for survival? All he's trying to do is allow Park Pro to get out. The new circle has popped.
Хрена себе, он должен сказать, где он. Короче, стоять на середине, на средней платформе, треугольники, и просто друг на друга смотреть. Так что ли? И все. Появляется, пиздишь, все.
Songjung could have really probably got 2+ flushes if he really wanted to, but you're right. He's playing the team game. I respect that.
I mean, they already took 2 casualties. No surprise on playing it a bit safe. JDG and anyone's legend on the hillside that's very strong inside the circle right now. The northern section of the circle almost entirely open, and I think the Falcons are going to use that to their advantage. They're going to shift a bit more up in that direction, where T1's also going to be playing. Our 2 most northern teams really not even a little bit halfway through the circle. The northern
Стихия, видимо. Это ТПП твоих, да, чебурашка?
Meanwhile, we got JDG sneaking up on anyone's legend as they come up over the top of the hill. Soul has been looking in the opposite direction. I'm not sure that they know.
О, просто кайф. Вы посмотрите, просто под каждым деревом мины будут лежать, под каждым камнем. Они умудряют... А, ну он спиной стоит, он сзади чекает, поэтому видно его. Понятно.
Cold 119 with the bolty. They do the double tap, call the opening. Sololzi immediately flushed.
I mean, just slow pacement coming out from JDG. That was very efficient in the way that they approached it. Now going for the regroup Cold. Now that he's a bit more vulnerable in that angle, gonna play back together with the other teammates. Jinji is gonna be very close.
Да я все играю.
But back over with Songjung, you can kind of get an idea what's going on. Navi caught up with the expendables yet again, right on the edge.
Мне когда заебет, в ранге я ТПП поиграть люблю.
Picks back around, very efficiently played. Navi down to 2.
I'll tell you what, man, you put expendables in a compound and let them run at you. These guys are just as nightmarish as they were at any event in the last year. Hackatory, though, trying to make the difference here. He had a bit of a slow day yesterday. A big day one comes around that corner. Duck Juice going for the res.
ТПП, контингент и войс забавный.
Has a little vision of Clories.
У всех почти микрофон постоянно включен, что-то базарь.
He's got so much information, but Little Ghost and the rest of 17 looks like they're trying to backstab. A couple shots now going to come out from Little Ghost to apply more pressure onto this Navi, at least in the safer angles to play from for right now. Got to be careful. No, 7-7 has spotted out Hackatory. That is terrible. He's down to 5 HP. He's going to go down. It's just Theorist versus all of the expendables now.
And not only is it him, he's also got 17 behind them. They're going to probably try to crash a third party off of this by taking the hill just above them. And that puts Ferris in a really tough position because you saw Hackatory and it was covered by 17. So Ferris going to go ahead and get those flashes out. But Clory's expendables, their third Panzerfaust of the match so far.
Unnecessary, but you know, better safe than sorry. Just pops him. Clory is going to find another one. Expendables have to head in the circle. The circle did pop and reveal itself, and it has gone north into the no man's land where we've got the river that's cutting through everything. That means that we have most of the lobby all in vehicles getting ready to rotate. And that
Один четвертый крестов, или там в одной машине двое.
It's got a spattering of teams that are all trapped next to each other.
It also means that it is a dead even watermark, so
they have no idea
where this next shift is going to go. All the teams going to
Молодость в твистах, чё?
It's not away from them as they pick their spots right now. Example gets a nice shot on AZ after he gets a shot on Molotov. Both these teams trading at massive distance.
But they're managing to weather this position. It's going to be very hard. Fury's going to be back behind, taking shots onto Twisted as well as Petrichor Road. Gen G going to be very close in position as well.
Mr.
That's why
Perfect.
Twisted's trying to take those shots and try to shoo them away from point. Up on the hillside, we do have Fury that's taking those shots that we talked about just one moment ago. We have JDG that's been in a firefight with the ARENA for a while, and 4 angry men on top of it. All these squads, no options, nowhere to really go, and yes, we do also have an emergency pickup that has been called by the Freaks to jump right into the middle of all of this.
Gotta get in there and mix it up.
Решафлы какие-то в составах, интересно.
They gotta make big moves. Lou gets shot the second he moves the car. Twisted Minds trying their best to hold Petrichor down, but this is not a lot of cover, and they're being attacked across the water. They also now have Furia backfilling behind them. Twisted Minds, I think, is running out of time.
With the river that's cutting through this, we've got FW in control of a lot of the circle, as well as Falcons to the northeast. To the southwest, it's going to be T1 and Gen G in very prime positions. Right
Доль, хорошее настроение, привет.
And there is a death funnel of squads that are back behind. The Panzer Falcons.
Там ТПП турнир, который был там. Стримеры уже ТППшные. Был там какой-то. Сейчас уж нету. Ну или есть, может. Да я не в курсе. Я не слежу просто. Здорово, здорово, Сарик. Я видел там в ДС, если что, пошел. Да. Здорово, Андерсон. Да ёб твою мать, а? Тангелтон этот, а? Ну что он делает-то? Базукой своей душит. Смотри, там какая-то засранка еще и БЗшку пришла кидать. Хаешками. Ебать. Их 2 сквада обстреливает. Ёб твою налево.
This is just more upon more. Mini red zone right on top of Twisted, and it is just example of the last one up.
Чё они так, чё им сделали-то, а? Что за хейт-шоу какое-то, Христов? Понимаете, в одну маленькую точку еще и 2 склада с мини-наметовой. Жопа сгорела бы очень-очень сильно.
Is going to have Tanvu very close in parachute to him, so curious to see if he's going to do any scouting or if he's just going to go for a regroup. Looks like he's now starting to get a bit more vision on him. Fury is starting to feed that over and say, okay, where is he going to land? The Expendables look like they wanted to try to get over next to him to try to pick him up, but it's going to be so hard running right in between Gen G, Furia, and even being vulnerable potentially from the angles that are going to be set up for Petrichor Road. But the Expendables, they don't care. They're just committed. They want to get him, and whoa, Furia just destroys him.
The Expendables look so ridiculously out of sorts in TPP. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. They are driving around like chickens without heads. They love their reses, but they are crashing and just hoping for the best, making kill money. And I think it's gonna be a rude awakening for some of our top teams that you do need to prepare for this. You do need to get ready for a different perspective and a different style of play.
I mean, the Expendables are trying to figure out how to make their style
work,
and you're right. It is much harder to do in TPP. They've said in their interviews they're very, very focused on trying to figure out a way to make it happen. You look at Fury, who opts into more style, presently ahead them by 1 point at the time being. Mortar still continuing to rain down as the Freaks have to find some way to get into this zone. Gate kept on one side by FW and 17 already in the circle.
Circle looking good. Falcons have been in for a while as they have a nice little split. You can see in the distance, DNF, who had to fight through the hell that was Bagopa, is in the circle, but they're being held.
Я так понимаю, это шанс для, PUBG как думает, это шанс для тех, кто играет всю жизнь в ТПП, что у них проснется желание пойти в киберспорт, раз он теперь от третьего лица, и новые таланты там увидим. А то нечестно. От первого, да, от первого.
good is that bounce? That is really close. 17 feeling a lot less comfortable than they did a second ago. You can see they were trying to set up, I believe, a mortar. That no longer feels good. It's going to be Ian that spots out little Ghost. And now 17 in a ton of trouble in this side of their split. Sure, they still have the other two that are holding down the other side of the river, but there's just too many shots. And Ian gonna find 7-7. And that is
Ну да, играет там много третьего, это да.
H1 with the links out there as Genji crashes into Petrichor. Coming from the backside, no one saw Chewy as he ends up getting the easy backstab to go down. Tozy hoping to make something out of nothing. As Ming
Ё-моё. Еще и под себя одну.
That's a dead Chewy as he tries to get through this. Ming on the rotation around. He knows that he's behind that rock. Would love to win this 1v1. JDG eliminated in the meanwhile. Tozy gonna go ahead and smoke out, see if he can't get back there to save his partner. Meanwhile, BRDM murders from FW.
I mean, FW's had control of this territory for a really
Ну
long
понятно,
time,
понятно.
it's just been the way
Ну и
that
ладно.
things happen. They've got
Честно,
wonderful
мне так
back
похуй
and
вообще.
but they also have remnants
Мне
of
третье
strong
лицо, в
also
принципе,
scoring
ок. Я
great
вчера играю, я
goals.
поигрываю третье лицо. Я заебусь ранги апать. Я иду от третьего лица играть. Жаль, что все мои тиммейты, ну, относятся к ТПП, и Таня, ну, она вроде много наиграла, но она говорит, ебаный ТПП. Бля, ну, с одной стороны, может, ты ебаный, нечестный режим. Но мне нравится. Мне нравится бегать, свои скины, извивания эти смотреть, видеть. Я не знаю, как будто бы мне прикольно. Я начинал в PUBG играть в 2017, блядь, году. Там не было первого лица.
FW just gotta fight their way in, but it's ARENA. These guys, whenever we get in later stages, they know exactly how to play around terrain and well defended positions.
Молодые игроки, блядь, все учатся делать. И первые, и третьи играть. А то, блин, знаете, ну вообще, изначально, я вот когда вот начинал стримить, больше всего вот мне понравилось, мы турики первые проходили, квалы и тому подобное. Там типа ФПП, ну, там первые 2 года, наверное, было, а я тогда еще играл, и то просто играл. Ну, первое было, и то, 50 на 50. Про нас говорили, ютуберы, блядь, ТППшные, нас ебут, что это за хуйня? Пишут, жалуются, нам приходилось демки скидывать. Вот это вот стереотипы ссаные. Ну, блядь, ну извините, что я на ютубе стримить начал.
After where a already flushed member is at, but it's going to be FW doing a good job on pretty much surviving in this point. But it is a pressure cooker, and it is going to continue to get hotter and hotter.
Это просто смешно, нахуй. Натягиваешь этих, блядь, не ютуберов, не ТППшных, и они там плакают. Элиты, нахуй.
Furia is trying to push them from behind. Meanwhile, T1 backstabs FW and maybe gives a little bit of a lifeline to the White Rabbits.
Falcons in this high ground, so much information, and they've got to focus in on ARENA right now.
То есть, все еще двое, они уже 3 килла, кстати, делают. А, стоп, ну нету, да, наверное же. Тут азиатов 50% где-то, по идее, приглашенные именитые прям команды. Ну, я понял. Ну все, топим за твистов конкретно. Кто играет еще? Руслан? А, все. Руслан это же тот, которым я тогда вдвоем остался, да? Против склада играли мы. Против складов. Это он, Руслан же? Я там на сковородку в конце бился. Вот он был со мной.
Grab the panzer, it's in the car. Nice, brother. One's on the tin still, okay? Is he in the car still, H1, or no? Is there a guy in orange?
No, I knocked the car guy. There was 3 cars, okay? 3 different cars.
Okay, they're just gonna put T1's gonna have our hill and it's kind of
on me.
T1's gonna have full hill control, yeah, we can't really. We should go back to the hill now, no? No, Fury can shoot us from blue.
There's 7 alive. What are the numbers? Talk about it.
Choice is a duo still. Choice is 100% a duo still on the power.
Okay, so that makes 5. And then the other 5 are Furia and T1.
Вот честно, единственный бич игр, PUBG, игр в общем, ну раз уж на то пошло серьезно, ну, вот единственный бич, прям вот сорняк, опухоль, гной и тому подобное, я не знаю, как хотите называете, это читы. Все. А там третье лицо, ну и чё? Ты что ж третьего лица играешь? Правильно? Если человек стоит за стенкой, ок, ну, блядь, ну да, ну все. Что поделать? Либо на реакции ебешь, либо умираешь. Но так же и ты можешь играть. Если ты знаешь, что чел стоит, облизывает стену, и он перед тобой, ну, закидывай говно, вот и все.
Gives more opportunity for the rest of the squad to play a bit safer along the southern territory. T1 also has eyes on
ПП тем более
that.
играют по большей части люди для души. Ну реально. Просто для души, чтобы чисто отдохнуть. Там нету прям конченых задров, которые прям со слюной изо рта играют и матерей постоянно. Там их меньше. Там взрослые более-менее дядьки. Ну, они тоже, конечно, словесно занимаются многим. Ну, что же они чилят. Им нечего там кому-то доказывать, они именно для себя просто хотят поиграть.
Tries to go for the nade onto Bean, but Bean just runs next to Shaq, takes some damage. It has an idea that there's backstab, goes out to blue to see if maybe he can play around the solo. He's gonna take so much damage. It's gonna be hard to survive.
На данный момент, блядь, Турика.
And Kalazine has to run. He realizes that T1 is way closer than he wants him to be.
Type literally stole $100 out of his pocket as Kalazine now has to run forward with that MG. But it is a tall order. 2 for T1, 1 for Furia, and Falcons out hunting like it is the
Блин, как же рендеринг идет тоже херовый. Ну, Full HD просто. Могли бы в 2К запустить. Я не знаю, что их железо не позволит, я слабо верю в это. Даже на Твиче уже в 2К стримят люди.
Make sure that they can try to funnel everyone on top of each other because that just makes their life so much easier. This is just pure efficiency on how to stranglehold a late game circle.
Балконы фулкой остались. Через 8 килами.
There's really no way to push up this hill without showing Falcons exactly what it is that you're working with. And so you can see T1 trying to make that outside flank. They're doing the same thing for information gathering, but the fact that Kickstart has the spot on the map means it is an almost unbreachable position if you don't have a couple of smoke launchers and an extra utility to sort of make that push.
Just getting to the point where there's nowhere to go, and Kalazine realizes it. He does try to get over to the rock, but
есть какое-то ощущение, что мы паблос ТППшный сейчас смотрим просто. Не тури какой-то прямо, а вот паблик как будто. Дефолтный причем. Обычный ТППшный паблик. У меня есть какое-то ощущение.
I will say T1's doing a great job of sort of rabbit peeking. They sent Ian up to peek, and the second that he drew Kickstart out, he had gone back down, and Type was in an off angle to get his counter peek. So they're doing a good job working as two to try to break into this spot. But Tiggleton with that off angle, sure, he's not going to maybe get the game-winning clutch if it's all open field, but this is a huge stop as Ian tries to make his way around the left side. That is the most important anchor I've seen in a minute.
Yeah, it makes it really hard because Kalazine on the other side of this means that T1 just has to run up the top of the hillside. They can't play the lower section of the hill because you can see it's going to be entirely cut off. Instead, firm regroup, realizing the fact that, okay, they have to step up along this other ridge line, and we've got control over that one. We're in phase number 7, so everything's kind of slowing down. Waiting to see where phase number 8 is. The duo and the solo praying that maybe the circle will give them some love. But up on top of it all, it's drawing a lot of attention. Kalazine does get the knock on H, but Kalazine goes down.
What a turn by Shrimsy. That was a tough one. He was just sort of waiting to get that pick.
2-4.
Thought he would just hold. They weren't going to push him and get the easy second place, but he decides to get active, and I respect that. Shrimsy actually has plenty of time to rotate over here and get H-Win up, but that does open the door if Type and End are paying attention to try to force a 2v2 right now.
That is a good read. Ian tries to play the lower section of the hillside, realizing that they're going to lose some information, the Falcons are, by trying to go for the res.
Ланоса, что ли, нету? Что там?
Type playing the other side of this means that there's a bit more of an angle as they try to push up this hillside, but it's going to still be very, very hard. Way the new circle has popped, it does kind of shift away from this hillside the Falcons are playing for, so let's listen in on T1.
Че Ланоса?
Okay, can we
Это жалко.
I think Shrimsy go orange and then Matt and I can push to yellow after.
Do we have smokes?
Yeah, I like that.
I can just smoke line down and nade them?
Yeah,
I mean, if I get
smokes.
to summer, it's gonna be hard. Can you give me smokes? Yeah, give me all the smokes. Can you give me any smokes?
Listen, H1. I just threw some here. That's all.
Shrimsy, you're gonna drive to orange, yeah?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
gonna
gonna.
get
There's a world where I just get
after.
fucking destroyed laser.
I'm gonna
like...
smoke line in the middle, and I can nade, okay? I can nade all the.
Это их ДС, ТС, там,
There should be
короче,
one on green,
переговоры. Слышно.
Alright, Shrim's go orange. I'm ready whenever you are.
You ready?
Yeah. Matt,
I'm gonna start driving. Let me know when I can drive.
I'm already close. I'm
ready.
ready. I'm throwing one stun for you.
Oh, big nade coming up from Kickstart. Gets knocked onto EN. Makes it really complicated. Type now the last one up. Falcons in complete control. They even know exactly where Type's at. Molotovs getting thrown out. Tons of control. Nowhere to go. Falcons take game number 1 of the day.
Ну, молодцы.
Win for the Falcons. This is killing me. I talked to Gunner at the start of the day, and he said, well, Chief, I don't think we're winning this event. Hate to break it to you. The boys are feeling sick. They don't look sick in that. They look sick, but the good kind, I should say, at the end of that match is they come out with a blazer of a win and the flag to pick whichever map they want next.
Cannot wait to see what they're going to go for. We're going to go ahead and tag back in Kalares, get his insights. Where are we going? H-Win's picked it, flips around, and it is Aaron Gal.
We go, and of course I've got Michael here as well to talk about that game. Falcons with a proper.
У них плотненько там посадочка.
Get things rolling, because man, Falcons had that in the bag when it came to the extreme control they were holding for the hillside as well as the compound, man.
I mean, you heard H-Win, right? He was like, in the comms, boys, we got fed, right? Like, let's make the most of this, and they did. They did a great job of flexing out. They eliminated all threats from behind. They used Kickstart as a really great defensive backstab hold, and they used Tiggleton as an anchor through the entire endgame, and everyone was willing to play those roles. It was a master's class in how to win when you should.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, Falcons gets the win, but we're looking at a moment here where Expendables and Navi.
А вот чувак с базукой, вот казалось бы, а чё он вот от первого лица к углу подошел? Вот как будто неопытный. Они ж азиаты. Он к углу подошел, он же должен был чекнуть третьего. Ну. Да, он пошел на реакции, но как будто бы... А вдруг все-таки в голову там не успел бы стрельнуть. Так бы заспотал, префом бы базукой пошел давай.
They also want to be aggressive, right? That is the MO of the Expendables.
Ладно, хер их поймешь вообще.
I'm impressed, Matrim, by T1.
В дом заходишь от первого, к углу подходишь от третьего. Все. Что еще надо в этой игре, блин, от третьего лица?
Well, whenever it comes to T1, it's so interesting because they have like 4 different
Да, как будто бы ни хера больше.
very often in their high gear where they're just going super kill heavy after anything that moves, but they also have this very defensive, slow approach that they can shift over to whenever they need to, specifically if they've lost a player or two. And it's really just propelled them into this game because whenever you get in TPP and you can control pacing, you just control everything around you.
Definitely. Toffees, obviously you said that you're a bit conflicted by the Falcons win. Did you take any Falcons members off of your fantasy team?
No, I dropped them because they have 3 people who are sick right now, and their coach said, we're cooked. We got to go back and do some more prep work for this. And then they come out on this map and absolutely lambast everyone. That's the thing about the Falcons, though. They get this spot. They made good strategic calls. H-Win put them on top of the high ground. There was like once they had that spot, it was just an inevitability of when the win was going to come.
Yeah, Matrim, I think that the Falcons listening that we got there was fantastic as they get 21 points to their name. But hearing those kinds of dynamics, how they want to control the high ground, the hill, how they're cognizant of where Fury can potentially see their line of sight as well, I think was brilliant comms here by the Falcons.
Yeah, and because there's vulnerabilities when you play the top of the hillside, right? Is you're profiling up for everybody that's in the low ground, especially in TPP, that can get those perfect shots in on you. So it's very, very dangerous whenever you look at trying to keep that hilltop control. But they realized that they just had all the authority. Instead, they were going to play it a bit more bold, a bit riskier, and it does end up paying off.
And it will be another boatload of points for T1 as well, as they still have that number 1 spot. Michael, from your perspective, can any teams wrestle this away from T1 and South Korea in general?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I was skeptical about T1 coming into today. At PGC 2024, they were in 1st place after 2 days, and they dropped to 5th place after the tournament ended. So I thought maybe they wouldn't have what it take to win. But they are maybe changing that now, and I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe they just carry it on.
Yeah, they're terrifying toffees.
I mean, it feels like they've just been on standby for the last year. They've been sort of building up. They put this roster together. They've been like, you know what? We're going to keep playing FPP. We're going to be good. We're going to kind of keep showing up these internationals. But when it goes TP, it's on time. Because they are. They're playing really smart. They're running good 2-2s. The way that they're leapfrogging on their pushes looks really, really good. I have been deeply impressed with T1 and their sort of fledgling mastery. As again, TPP has not been a competitive format truly at the highest level since 2018. These guys are kind of going back to their own ways. They've been doing it in pubs. They clearly have a little bit of a foot up.
Is paper thin ready is the question here. As we're taking a look across Falcons, you were mentioning that we thought maybe they were going to have a bit of a harder time, obviously battling some illnesses, but it looks like we are... Was that Mark is ready? What was that? Oh, okay. He's ready soon. Sneaky Mark. Okay.
Sneaky boy.
Yeah, but
you know, I'll tell you what.
He's doing a full T1. He's controlling all the pacing. We just got to rotate around him.
So there was this time Trevor, who I think Michael is pretty familiar with, once told me he coached H-Win at an international, and he said he has the best game sense of any IGL that he's worked with, and was blown away by his ability to sort of track movement on the map. And I do think in this format, particularly in that last game, we saw H-Win at his best. Those comms, the first set of comms, the second one was a little more confused. They apparently everybody desperately the first time around, though, it was super cool. It was very collected. It was information and just a really smart, tight comm system, which I always am excited to hear.
Let's check in with Paper Thin down on the stage.
Number 3, still tons to play for. They're getting some extra money in the bag. And of course, just like we saw on day number 1 when they got their win, they're going Erangel again. So that's where our next plane will be taking us. Buckle up. It's time for the grassy pastures. The El Clasico. It's Erangel.
Куе, ты чё там, двоечку, а я куе.
Just can't get away from boxing. It's all over social media, everywhere. Now even paper shadow boxing against us. Toffees.
Холодно там. Ёлочка, вам нравится? Ёлочка, вам нравится? Последний без соли доедаю. Ёлочка, мне нравится. Ёлочка, вам нравится? Ёлочку не видно, да? Ёлочка стоит тоже.
Like being willing to take a fight has become the primary focus as our drone pilot shows off just how skilled he is at that awesome skate park there in the middle of Seoul. Next game getting underway, we're transitioning back to Erangel. I'm excited about this. I'm a little curious why it is that the Falcons choose this map.
Стоп, а он не зимний, что ли?
Other teams seem to be picking ones that are a lot more cover oriented and have central drop spots.
Не, зимний. Давайте капсулу лутайте, пацаны. Бот-ярд капсула, погнали. Кто бот-ярд лутает? Митина. Это не в Корее случайно? Они не в Корею прилетели? Кто путешественники, пиздец.
Stick to basics. Keep it simple, stupid kind of situation.
Yep, I do. I think, and I also think teams like Anyone's Legend, where you're not forced to sort of manage the calls as much, are going to benefit on a map like this. Our teams that kind of go for 2v2s with holds that have a little more defensive position should be pretty interesting. As I think we're on Erangel, I think the teams are learning right now how to push some of these compounds. When we go to Tego, there's a lot more functionality there.
We getting the hot drop coming in? I don't know. We saw T1, but it looked like they were isolated. I think that 4 Angry Men is going for a bit more of an eastern drop. Yeah, they're not going to make... Well, actually, no. Some of 4 Angry Men have actually jumped into Yaznaya itself. Heather also off in the distance. Circle pops, and it's going to be centered around Rozhok.
Nice middle circle. Everybody's going to be happy about that one. Yaz should be big enough to hold everybody. Meanwhile, Falcons getting shot at just a little bit, or a little cover, I should say, from the Falcons as they get the dragon off. He says, jump in. Go kill this guy? No, maybe not. So they're going to back up and head back. I think it is. Nope, no free kill today.
Нет, поедут тушить.
О!
Но! Что? Скалимат! Бля, он с мушки.
They thought we'll go hunt this guy, and Togmu with the iron sight is going to go ahead and get that knock on Shrimzy. That is absolutely crazy. I think he had a 2x for a second. But if that was an iron sight Shrimzy popper in the head, that is wild.
Чё?
Shin
В
on the
принципе,
hunt
пошли
after
убивать.
kickstart. Gonna make a full commitment. It just crashes the building.
О, а
As
это...
possible. He's got the shot. He's ready to go.
А это с
He can around
ДМРки.
the side. It's all gonna come down. Who has the better aim? Closes the door on one side of it. Nowhere to go. Out the window. Pop on top. And
Ой.
kickstart goes down.
That was great. He saw him driving. He knew that he only had the Dragunov off the quick loot, and so he capitalized on that and made a big push, knowing that he could.
Не, ну топ взяли и хватит.
Automatic firearm. And it was a
Я
really
считаю.
good push here from 4 Angry Men. Falcons coming off a win.
Топ взяли и
kicked
хватит.
to the map. Now down 2 players.
So a little bit of distance away from T1 on Yaznaya. Going to feel really good now as they finally winning a hot drop over here as T1 has been making their life absolutely miserable on Erangel. So good start for 4 Angry Men. It's down towards the bottom of the leaderboard.
Мы все помним. YouTube все помнит.
Falcons on the other side of that. After
Уважаемые фальконы.
solid victory, already down to 2.
With a great circle too. If this hadn't happened, they had a solid transition into the mid, sort of where T1 was doing a big spread.
Да,
They would have easily moved to a good compound, somewhere probably in the vicinity of Volcano. So this is going to really hurt them. And it's tough when you think that you're so far behind coming in. You have a big first game to have the second one.
На
go that
ходу,
way has
с
gotta be
мушки,
heartbreaking,
с
especially
коряка
if you guys are
просто,
watching at home, which I know you
ёпарасы.
are. There's only 5 games today, so it's not traditionally the 6. There's less makeup space. If you want the $50,000, we're almost done.
This is really interesting looking at the way that the circle is kind of landed. Rozhawk is going to be in the center of it, entirely open, but the Freaks have got a 2-2 split entirely around it. Nobody is in Rozhawk itself right now. Petrichor Road is going to be in School and Apps. Of course, we get 17 and down in Pachinki itself. So JDG is doing a bit of a stretch. Most of our teams kind of doing a bit of a split around Rozhawk, and finally it is going to be the Freaks running through it, but it's pretty open, all considered, in the circle so far.
No one wants Rozhawk. Rozhawk is the absolute worst town to be in a third-person lobby, right? Because across the river, above you at the radar tower, the houses by the bridge, every single one of them has a rooftop or a hilltop access where you can be watched in anywhere that you transition inside of Rozhawk. So that is going to be, I think, a last-ditch location for some of our teams who will probably try to avoid getting into any kind of valleyed city. Is really, really rough. Here's that. It was an iron sight. He leads the shot perfectly. That's highlight reel material. Boom.
I mean, at this point, I think the Falcons might want Rozhawk. It's at least a safer drop than that.
Не, ну это вообще
And,
ЖП.
looking out on the circle
Это
so far,
ЖП.
we've got Irina, it's up in Zarki. Stolber is going to go over to Furia. Everybody else on the outside is going to be FW. Twisted, who's down into Milta Minor through Power. Inside of Milta proper is going to be Anyone's Legend. And Gen G doing a bit of a regroup with the Expendables playing in the GAT Cathedral.
Хорошо.
Man, I'm not even mad about them dying to that. Like, that Car 98 shot was so freaking sexy. Like, you can't even, like, when that happens in game, you're like, well, they earned it.
А где у них
That
AX
was
left?
wild. What a shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of small moving factors that we're trying to get everything eye on right now. I think that we're trying to see if Michael's got anything that he's going to be bringing in, so we'll keep an ear on him for just 1 second. We do have a red zone that's going to appear on top of JDG and Begapa, but shouldn't be anything too scary right now for those guys. Very slow in rotate, given the
Хорошо,
fact
что
that it's
убили
so
не
pretty
тебя, а
simply
его.
circled, but the center
Поэтому ты
meta
не
is
будешь
still
третовать.
staying quite strong.
Yeah, we got teams definitely going to a couple of those high ground spots
Ничего
in the
сказать.
middle. The issue is we still have, land ratio, and if that shift goes north of the river or south, everyone else has to make a transition. So a lot of our players getting decent spots, but ones where they can keep their cars protected and make a big transition. When you talk about TPP, it takes that car value to the umpteenth level. Sure, 4 cars is an insanely important strategy when it comes to first-person perspective, but as we make this transition, because of the extra vision you can utilize with cars, because of the need for cover, because of the quick transitions, cars are paramount. And these early phase 2, phase 1 preparations for shift are going to revolve a lot around keeping those cars safe and keeping them on hand.
Curious to see if the Falcons are managing to get any of their blue chips back, or what the situation with that is there's not a lot of people around them. They did have one of their players go
Он еще без колеса есть.
well, I wouldn't say centered, but a little bit off center, and that's going to put him surrounded by Na'Vi players. And I think that might be what Tig is over here for, looking for blue chips. I don't know, though. So let's go ahead and see if we can get the comm set up, and let's do a quick listen in. They're on full-on silent mode right now. We are listening to their comms, but there's just nothing happening with them.
I heard a guy shoot an AK
I mean, that's
into
the-
Lee's, which is really weird.
One of the
Why
lower
the yellows.
boys
Where'd your car get
popped,
popped,
Tig?
Sorry?
from Ben's.
It was
Sounds
either
like-
Bend or like Volcano, probably from Bend.
If you're gonna look for info on our tip stick, you should be playing like orange or something. Like,
Yeah, I think you go
like
east.
summer orange line.
I was just looting and waiting for FW. I was gonna say 4am drove to it as well.
There was a guy volcano. There's a team hacker.
Roger.
And they're shooting at a car on island.
You're completely alone, H1.
Yeah, I'm stunned.
Он хочет.
Riveting stuff from the Falcons. I do like that their comms are completely silent unless it's feeding valuable game information, right? Like, there's a discipline to the way that they do their conversations.
Yeah, and also
Дисциплина. Дай мне хоть сказать что-нибудь.
knowing the fact that it's going to be FW.
На полдороги в лобби.
I don't think that we've seen FW make an appearance in the kill feed. Really, it's just been the Falcons, and that's been about it. The only ones that have gone down, so that's just going to be all on knowledge coming into the game, and idea on rotate. H1 is pretty surrounded in the circle, as you heard Tiggleton say, is he's got T1, I think it's Petrichor Road, and Navi all just entrenched around him in position. So Tig's just kind of roaming around on the outside of this, figuring out how he can even get into the circle.
Yeah, it's a tough one because this is the best part and the worst part of Erangel. If you get that early rotation, you get a good spot, you get the shift, it's a really good win condition. But if you suffer like the Falcons did, where they get ambushed early, they fall behind on rotations, like you end up with Tiggleton driving around the entire north of the island to try to salvage.
Saiga.
Bagopop up here in this
О,
compound, looking around. I think E-Arena has to know. Are they going for the crash? They are. Legend.
Rolls
Что
right
на
up next to
первом
Park Pro, waiting to see who's going to come through. He's got Shoddy ready to go. Plays it slow, waiting to see who's going to step through. Gets the taps in, makes it look simple right off the kick. So here come the reinforcements. The rest of Bagapod just running down the hillside. E-Arena realizing there could be some problems. Opon's very isolated. Does have reinforcements at least back behind him in Nurens, but the full wolf pack from Bagapa going to make any type of push from here very difficult.
ох уж
I
это
just don't think
Сайга.
Opons, they know that Opons is up there. So we saw the crash from E-Arena. I think that they got up there quietly, and so Bagapod does take a shot. They now know that Opons there. This buys them plenty of space to work from that garage house. And I mean, you got to withdraw
Где
Opons
хорошая
at this
забитка?
point, but I don't know how you do it.
I mean, Lyrics was trying to play into the west.
Если бы он
Bagapa
хотел
already
кинуть.
saw him in movement. This is just kind of turned into an awkward standoff where you're kind of entrenched over here. JEG also has a 2-2 split pretty far around this one. Nade being a bit of its own.
Сейчас бы
problem
от третьего
right there.
лица
Exactly.
хаек кидать из
Opons-
дома.
Well, smokes are now starting to come out. Songjong, he wants to play this aggressive. Nurens is
Бобусы.
going to have to keep his defense very strong. Park Pro already knows where he's going to be at. Peeks around the trees, but Opon's in a lot of trouble.
Oh.
Good throw coming out from Songjong.
That's Nade, a good push there, and we're going to have to immediately see them fall back as Nurens goes ahead and tries to get some cover down on the car so he can just get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Lyrics was even up into the north at this point. It's just time to get out of point position. Circle has gone back to the southeast, so it's going to be other side of the river, so everybody up here is going to have to be making some rotates. We've got Michael with some information.
Непривычно, так они, ну, и не нужно
So
от третьего их кидать.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting Falcons to be
Из дома.
edge zone or in the blue this
Окна
game.
там, вот
Their
это всё.
comeback plan will probably have them land in Yaz now if they can do it. Just because of that insane.
Вот,
stuff they're doing
весты,
in the game.
2 килла.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise. That is.
Ну, килл и нок.
It's just full damage control. Here's H1 we just saw kind of hunkered down in point.
Whoa!
Twisted's caught up in a firefight right now with the Expendables, who just made a send right into
Они
Ash.
общагу заняли.
Twisted, this is comfort territory for them, though.
Да,
They
да,
know
да,
how to play
кильчики
this
делают.
very efficiently.
You never enter a two-front war in Europe, and you never fight Twisted Minds in apartments. These are two basic rules of war. And here we are, Expendables saying, yeah, we can take this. And I just expect Twisted Minds has defended, played, and owned this
Ну
spot
да,
for
1
so
килл, а
long.
одного
I
резнул.
think they like it when this happens.
Easy presentation for some points. I love the fact that how they secure two buildings, but not too aggressively. Notice the fact that the cars are going to be a bit closer to
А
the
зачем они
location
пошли
that
другую
Expendables
общагу
are
брать,
playing
не
from.
самую высокую?
Expendables still sitting in that 11th place position, while Twisted eyes on the top three still, as it is just 5 points away from the
Смотрите-ка, он
crease.
пришел за чипами.
And they need a big game if they want to even have a chance to catch up to T1, who is presently playing themselves into a pretty good position. 2-2 split, not far off center.
All right, let's take a look at a little bit of loot for Tiggleton as he continues to sort of salvage as much as he can out of this game. Throws a 6X in the trunk, grabbing some supplies for his friends potentially. T1, who's dominating the leaderboard right now, still in a great spot. Furia, though, getting real close, chasing him down. Panzerfaust ready but not in hand. Tong Mu hitting Furia as
Bazooka.
he tries to push forward. T1, I think, could be saved by a little bit of that.
Базуки надо убирать из
Well, I
игры.
love
Не, ну
the
надо
fact that
убирать
they are
по-любому.
staying committed in this one for right now. They have Furia up in their face, and I knew that this was just a matter of time. I think that Tig was just waiting for everybody to get away from him before he went for the reses. The full regroup from Furia has happened onto the duo for T1, and the other duo is staying pretty committed, just having faith. There you have got an angle of defense, and just going to go ahead and let the other two players kind of hop in vehicles and slowly move out of point. All of this still happening around H1, by the way.
Mm-hmm. This is about the pace that I expect for this map. It's going to be a little bit slower in the mid game as everybody secures their spots. Nade being cooked up by Wicked. If he can hit this, it would be big on T1, but I think he decides it's not worth as he doesn't really have a follow-up. It's just hard to watch every angle at once as T1 chases the rest of his teammates away.
Anyone's Legend's got to be a bit careful about this now that there's everybody from T1 right next to each other. T1, though, going to be on the receiving end of that damage. Emergency pickup has been called from E Arena. Looks like they're just going to try to figure out where the circle is going to lay for this one. Anyone's Legend, though, they've got to be careful. Na'Vi eyeing this one, gets some damage, but there is a pretty decent crossfire if he's not careful.
I mean, they've already taken the tires out. He has very little hope here. And we go back to the Tiggleton efforts to escape. He jumps out. He gets the one. He seat swaps, goes around the back, tries to make the play, but Begopa was not having it as they come around with the entire army of cars, the whole fleet deployed.
А он не резнул, да?
I mean, free point for Begopa. They've got to continue on their path. They keep going this way, though. Downside is that they're going to bump into FW. At least Tig completed mission, though. He called back into the other players. Have to see where they're going to be opting and jumping. Furia making their own committed run right through everything. Twisted kind of still caught up with what's going on into apps. Means that there's at least an opportunity to get in the hillside. The circle has popped down into the southeast, and it is just going to be running right into parachutes. Posa, that is just crazy. Takes down Nurin so fast.
Nurin's never stood a chance. Where's this Furia been all week? As they make a push up, Kawanzine firing into the smoke, trying to make something happen here. As Na'Vi does have the high ground, I don't think they're going to push up over the top. They're going to be pretty content to just hold this position for a minute and let everything settle itself out as that circle popped. And it is really centered on almost everybody.
Yeah, it's just going to be more of a crunch in. It's Begopa on the outside, JDG on the outside, and just territory control. E-Arena does get eliminated. Emergency pickup not going in their favor. Falcons are trying to parachute in right now, but under some pretty serious duresses. There's a lot of teams taking pot shots, and it's just a bit messy in the north, but I think that most of them have managed to land.
They can land. There's just not a lot of real estate, and Tiggleton was in charge of driving around and finding supplies. They got him. Begopa picked him off on transition, which means Falcons are going to be coming in severely underfunded. And it's going to be a very tough game for them to continue this climb out of 4th place. Meanwhile, though, Twisted Minds, who's at 93 points, does have a decent spot in the circle and 4 alive. So this might be that moment where Twisted Minds says, hey, it's not all about Korea. We, too, can play this game.
Begopa getting closer and closer to FW. Is playing a couple of little sneaky angles right here. Begopa just playing the dip at the crossroads. No need to make too desperate of a push. JDG rotating on the other side of this, though. And it's going to be along the pathing where Jin Ji has got set up. Bean looks like he's going to be the man out, feeding information over in the rotate. Should have probably spotted that, but I think that JDG is doing enough of a shift along the hillside that it is, of course, going to force Jin Ji back down the hill. Not the cleanest of sight lines, but 17 is going to spot him on 1. First stage of the gauntlet at least started to get completed, but remember, Fury is in the dip just a bit further ahead.
Yeah, it's tough, too, because they want to get these knocks. Otherwise, JDG is going to leapfrog them and take a better hold position in the middle that Genji will ultimately have to cross. Meanwhile, T1 got into it with 4AM. 4AM opened with some strong knocks, but they've been able to turn it back around. Kawanzine now with JDG, because remember, JDG drove past, ended up down here where Furia just eliminated EA, but now it's them getting torn apart.
It just is the catalyst. Everybody now looking into this. You can see Na'Vi taking shots. If you look down at the mini-map, it's just
Там Хвин делает стол.
Не, он резнул. JDG, it's an absolute It's just a matter of survival. Circle, though, at least pops, goes up to the northwest, keeping, I think it was Apps in school in play.
Yeah, from a very quiet to cataclysmic on that feed just over the course of a couple of seconds, as teams had to make those forced transitions after the shift. EN going to go ahead and make that final push onto 4 Angry Men. They do wipe them, but they should be able, I think, to get everybody back up as well. So T1 in a great spot.
Okay, now you've got to make some more, I guess, dedicated, dangerous rotates. FW just going to sit it right next to Begopa. Vegapa's going to get kind of stopped off on their point. Freaks are going to go for a bit more of a regroup. Now the Falcons are eliminated. Vegapa's a con just getting whatever shots he can onto FW on top of him. Here come the reinforcements. This is a great counter move, but up on top, Na'Vi really supervising it at all.
Vegopa in cars, unstoppable. Furia eliminated from the high ground. Na'Vi putting in work, but that Vegopa crash was absolutely gorgeous. If I'm them, I say never ride a compound again. Just drive cars.
Well, they're going to continue that strategy. Park Pro in a car up to the, I guess, the southern area. This Na'Vi 2-2 split strong enough to do damage, but doesn't eliminate either squad for the time being. Vegapa's still sitting on 4. They've got to continue their path into the zone. It's just 6 Sacks that's going to be ahead of them. Issue is this hillside is not going to be very comfortable as most of the strong positions already taken. T1 in the BRDM, roaming forward, scouting, feeding the information back over to the other players, and it is about time to get the kills started up as Petrichor Road spots out Ian, but it's going to be Wicked that gets the kill.
Nice job, T1, crashing a team that's been having a lot of trouble so far in this event. Anyone's Legend having trouble even with comms as they've got 2 different language functionalities. T1 does come in, gets that BRDM run over as Wicked gets knocked and flushed again. I will say that was a good hold against T1. Himas now trying to make something happen as Raining wants to go up and save type.
Давай в соло BRDM разъеби.
Steady. It's the little engine that could, trying to go up the hill and see if he can get to type. But it looks like Human might have an idea to come after this. Spotted it at range, realizing there's an opportunity. Squad in first, vulnerable, and Human wants to get the opportunity, but it's going to be a second too late. Type is thrown in the BRDM, and now it's just passing. Do they have a Panzerfaust at the ready? UAS is set up waiting for it, and I think that they've just got to relent. Go back into position.
Priest will fall back to a cover spot. They have a compound that's inside the circle. They can't risk being distracted from doing that. Na'Vi trying to hold against BGP. Bagopod, nice play by Park Pro as he does get that burn down. That's going to open them for another aggressive breach. Bagopod showed up today and said, we don't care. We're playing aggressive. If we see you, we fight you. And they're doing it over and over again.
Na'Vi is going for a regroup. Could be at the worst time for Bagopod playing the opposing side of this. Na'Vi, you talked about they wanted the kills.
Ну, то есть царицы заняли просто 4 общаги. 4 общаги заняли. Надеюсь, они взяли все дробовики.
Because 6-Ax is going to be right next to him. The longer we can see Extends survives, it could open up an opportunity for these guys on the outside. Couple of shots coming out. It's going to be Song Jung on one side of it, PO on the other. In their defense, Fairest just doesn't have the opportunity to go for the shots that he wants.
I'm not sure if they saw him yet as PO does back behind the car. He hits with the grenade. Doesn't get the kill, though. PO able to make his way back to cover. Now Song Jung knows exactly where he is. Pulls out that grenade, cooks it, tosses it, bops it. Doesn't even need it as lead ultimately leads to the death of Hakatori and Fairest.
Here comes Anyone's Legend. They want to try to pounce on this as well. And Extends now the only one up. Everybody that came to rescue him down, and he is just trapped in the smoke. He's going to go down. Anyone's Legend trying to pounce on Bagapa, who's sitting at 9 kills. This is going to be a hazardous situation because Bagapa feels like they are on it right now.
Bagapa has been playing out of their mind. 9 kills already. 4 people alive is a wild flip for them. They've been using cover absolutely incredible, dodging grenades like they're made of Kevlar. And meanwhile, Lil Ghost and Show are engaging with the freaks here. Twisted Mind's going to be overseeing this as they continue to dominate in their apartments. Maladoc getting aggressive. He goes down. The cross was too strong. Tanvu had an off angle on him.
A lot of utilities probably been burned over here for as long as this has been going on. 17 in the high ground back behind all of this. Is the focal point is definitely apartments. Gingy is going to be holding down school. Petrichor Road going to make their rotate. Remember, we still have that.
Они всех разрезали, а он куда пошел,
on the outside example. Looks like he does at least manage to get a bit closer on the side of this one, but 6-Ax waiting to see if he can backstab the rotate for Anyone's Legend.
Может, стол поднять.
They desperately want to try to get to Maladoc to pick him up, but it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards. DM3 now has the high ground in the apartment complex, and it is impossible to fight Twisted Minds one-on-one in the apartments, but it is not impossible when there are 3 teams entered into this area with Petrichor, who also has overlook if you try to operate on the roof. So it is a very tough area for these guys to play. I expect the aggression to wane just a little bit as the 3 teams will wait to see if they can get a peak trade and what else might happen.
On the outside of this one, Bagapa and Anyone's Legend both playing right along the edge of the zone, caught up in a firefight. No real options except for just make a bit more of a commitment, but it's going to be the guys they're playing inside the apps with now the supervision on the hillside, and it is getting dicey. Anyone's Legend down to 2, but Bagapa also down to 2. 6-Ax trying to get a bit more involved in it, but it's going to be Petrichor Road that keeps vision and keeps him out.
I26v6 killing tires as best he can. Anyone's Legend still trying to hold on as him and Soul are the two left standing, speaking different languages, using the best English they can to communicate. It's going to make this a very difficult push as FW is eliminated.
17 still on that hillside, also has great vision on the Begaba. Circle goes to apartments yet again. That means that school is going to be out of play. UAS just hopping up in the air for just a second, making it a bit dicey for cover. Soul, Himas, in a little bit of trouble. Damage stacking up more and more. Himas goes down. Soul, the last one up. Begapa just trying to cling to life. Has to be careful. It's going to be 7-7 on the other side, taking shots right into their backside.
Mingming got a nice little cover there through the bush, trying to finish off Soul if he can possibly do it. Soul did manage to get Akan, and Begapa has been put on the brakes. So they're at 10 kills, eliminating anyone's Legend. These guys down to 1, but they're not going to care with 10 kills to the better. This has been a really good game for them.
Он один остался.
Over next to 17, and that was punished really fast. I think that Genji, are they going to make the commitment into this run? They don't have too many more options. They're all kind of stacked up on it. They've just got to go. They've got to get the shots, at least get some damage in. 17, now they were doing the harassment on all the hillside firefighting, finds themselves under that duress position. The Expendables taking shots into this at range, and this a little bit of a dip, not feeling too comfortable for too much longer. If any utility hits, one nade can just absolutely ruin them, and Flame has a Panzerfaust.
A Panzerfaust is a really bold spreads, but they do go ahead and get it off. 17 trying to split into 2-2 to negate that Panzer just a little bit. Grenade's going to go out to buy some zoning space with utility here. Xiaowu is
Там Хае в лицо
залетело,
в 54-то.
Damage with that first one, 2, 3, 4 more grenades all go out at the same time as Sho tries to wrap back around. Flame going to hide inside the smoke, get as much vision as he can. Clories, the Expendables on the roof of the 3rd floor of the apartments, also getting involved.
Panzerfaust does connect onto a vehicle, but doesn't get what they want. Big damage onto Flame. He's going to go down. Moore is now also getting involved. Genji was wanting to try to slow back down the pace, regroup all back together, get their reses back in order, but that's just given rally time for 17. They are finding ways to get a piecemeal out of it time and time again. Little Ghost, the mortars get closer and closer and force Genji back up against the blue zone. Tanvu gonna pop Flame, and Genji in a lot of trouble now.
Meanwhile, Park Pro solo drives over and says, I'm going to get involved. Why not? Let's try to steal a kill here up on the high ground. So look for a little thieving from Park Pro as the fight goes off. Orca with a nice grenade going out. Lil Ghost trying to dodge those mortars as everyone in the lobby has decided to throw any ordnance they have in this general direction. How many grenades do you guys have? It's wild.
I mean, they were in school for so long, so Genji should be pretty looted. Jumping from smoke to smoke, it's a matter of time before Park Pro finds a way to ruin anybody's day, and it looks like it's going to be Genji as the focal point for it. Sho is going to spot out Orca. Orca at least gets a knock on a Little Ghost, but 3 players still up. Begapa trying to find more. Nades rolling down, does get the flushes, but look at the damage coming up from Park Pro.
Big damage, but he hasn't been able to close it down. Meanwhile, the Expendables see it from the district, and the glories of glories as he puts another $100 in his pocket. Bold play by Park Pro. I respect it. 17 does ultimately get their last player up and comes away as the winners from that exchange. And I got to tell you what, Match'em, I think they got to increase the weight on these grenades. There is far too much ordnance available to these players.
17 at 8 kills right now. Freaks and Twisted still down in apps with the way that circle is popped. It means that it's going to be 17, the team that's got to move. Twisted, the Expendables, the Freaks, all inside of apps, Petrichor Road, and they're a little bit of a building on the outside of it. And 17 has been, I mean, everybody that has vision onto this. I mean, Freaks, the Expendables, I think even Twisted, and where we can see Lou playing from, could be able to spot out any movement. This is going to be disastrous for 17 unless they find some vulnerability to exploit.
This circle being on 4 of the actual apartment complexes that have people in them is absolutely wild because Petrichor can just hold their spot. They don't have to.
Если 2 общаги так и держишь, или 3? 3
creep with this blue, they'll be able to stay alive.
Как будто
So
бы
I
уже и не
expect us
надо.
to be in a very tight couple of maybe a minute or two here where everyone's just trying to find information.
Ну, не
And
понимаю,
the fight
почему
breaks
нельзя
out,
было просто
the
одну
third
забрать
parties,
их?
once this closes, are really the
Максимум
difference
2.
maker in this game.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm looking at this, and so 17 has a chance if they can get a knock onto somebody from the Expendables and really only has to deal with the Freaks, or if they just opt into a very wide wrap down into Petrichor Road, but that's going to be under shots for a long time. It looks like it is going to be the Expendables push is what they're going to be going for. They're just going for as hard of a committal as they can, and remember, the Expendables are a bit vulnerable, but Tanvu on top punishes it so hard, and it's just 2 players up for the Expendables, but now just 2 up for 17.
2 up. It is better in than I thought they would get on that crash. Chloe's going to go to the high ground as the blue is going to slow them down. I like that little portable shield, so they can't do a short nade toss. They can force the res, and to be able to get 3 players this close to the apartment for a crash is actually, I think, a success for 17. Maybe not.
This is a great play coming from Petrichor. They're just trying to sneak into this using this distraction that 17 has set up. They can't really get the shots in, but they are at least getting some damage onto the Freaks and keeping this into separated firefights. Glorious wants to look out on it so bad. Does get the knock. He's just going to play up on top of it all. He has so much vision, but he can't get the angle. He goes for the Batman, drops down, and finishes them all. 17 is annihilated. That was a sick move. Bruce Wayne comes from the high ground, couldn't get the angle from the top, and says, you know what? When all else is lost, I must jump. Tanvu goes to loot, says, I should get a couple of these boxes too, sir, as I stopped the initial crash. And Guman up on the hill, going to go ahead and try to hold.
Как сказать, что тут твистам как бы нормально сделать, потому что там занята самая высокая общага. Им перебежку надо делать. Ну, смотрите, по-любому есть это явно. Хотя перебежку надо и этим. Тем Eliminate как там.
Potential, but what they really need out right now is smoke grenades so they can make the transition to other apartments should they need to do so. There's going to be a lot of windows you have to smoke if you're trying to make a transition here.
2 players still up from the Expendables just shopping right now. They've been trapped over here for quite a while right next to the Freaks and Twisted, and that could be a big play. As remember, it has been a game of attrition really between these 3 squads for a long time, so 17 just dropping in a ton of extra utility for late stages could be absolutely massive. Freaks, the closest to the center dot in this. It's going to be Twisted a bit further away. The Expendables do have to move to get into the circle. Petrichor Road, other side of the hill, and it's really just all going to come down to vision and the game of chicken on who goes first.
Will open the door for everyone else, right?
Они типа туда, в Булгарию, место вроде неплохое есть, но оно в зоне.
Have an idea of possibly doing that if Freaks ends up mixed up with Twisted Minds. The Expendables going to get in the car, start to slide forward. Heaven has vision on them right away. I just don't know how you get in, man.
Yeah, they don't really either. This is just kind of a desperation play, hoping that the smokes are going to give them enough. But Human just wrecks Tanvu and doesn't work the first time. Not really going to work too well the second time, but it is going to be Twisted Minds that sneaks in, seeing if they can exploit the distraction that is being presented.
I like that they're being aggressive about that. Botulinum going to go up there and try to clear the bottom floor with the Molotov, push him out of the room. Expendables is eliminated. He's going to toss that first molly to buy them a little bit of space. Good grenade out that front door to slow down his potential push. But that molly, very strong, the double molly, made the fire spread just a little bit more.
And now he has to retreat from that angle.
Там пирожки, там пирожки сидят на... Ебать, там ДБС.
Heaven's going to spot him. Just Lou, and he's already in a lot of trouble. Petrichor Road on the other side, kind of giving him some space to at least get his meds back in order, and that's going to be all she wrote. Ming Ming's going to be the one to get it, so it's going to be Freaks with 4 up, and then Petrichor Road on the other side with 3, but Petrichor Road has gotten themselves into a very good defended position, and the Freaks are going to have to assault it.
I love the Twisted Minds took the incentive to try to
Нельзя было отдавать. Серьезно, нельзя было эту общагу отдавать.
They never pulled anyone off the roof. They just locked it down. Huge grenade that says, "Oh, we know you're there." And Petrichor with a tree and a rock has to hope to do.
Она же в любом исходе лучшая. Там же ну на крыше можно уйти в любом случае.
How do you push this?
Well, the Freaks want this because it gets them so much closer to T1. Petrichor Road just wants anything on the face of the earth. Down in 15th right now, anything that they can find is going to be absolutely massive. Petrichor Road, though, taking a ton of nades, just dropping right on top of him. So Loot ready and waiting on the high ground of it's going to make this so much more complicated. They get to navigate with all the information, but Heaven does get knocked. AZ is going to be playing the other side of the smokes, looking down at the Doritos. No time to go for Reses. I2 6v6 is going to go down. Ming Ming trying to go for it. Takes some damage off of this covered point, but at least forces the yellow away. But Salute with the Panzerfaust, ready and waiting to pounce on anything in front of him. Nades coming out from Ming Ming. Can anything connect?
Nice push there. Guman gets knocked down as AZ does get a play. Lots of grenades coming out. Petrichor has been camped out, not having to use their utility. Down to 2 as they try to make this go on a 2v2. Salute down as a 2v1. Petrichor could close this out. Ming Ming on the right side. AZ on the left. The Dorito, all that matters.
Пирожки еще и закрыли, короче.
And it's Petrichor Road from the outside. Crushes the apartment boys.
runs up and takes it away. The moment that Salute went down, everything spun back around. Petrichor Road knew that they had the momentum. But I mean, that was still a really good game for the Freaks, and I think that got them within just touching distance of T1.
It actually should move them up very, very closely. Honestly, T1's going to be ecstatic that Petrichor pulled out the win, or I do think Freaks would have put them in a 1-to-1 chase going into the last 3 games of the day. Petrichor picks up the flag. They're going to walk over to the map select. We've played one Tego. We've played one Orangle. That means anything is still up for grabs.
Все в куртке сидит.
Is the road that Petrichor is going to send us down. This is a bit of a wild card, as it looks like it is going to be Miramar as their choice, keeping it spicy for game number 3.
He was like, Ming Ming, your input is not required. Miramar it will be, as they pick the map and we head to the Dusty Dunes.
Let's go ahead and tag in Caloris and Michael to give us a ton of insight on that last game.
А это чё? Подождите, это они чё, типа, подходят и сами выбирают? Кто победил, тот карту выбирает?
And obviously here, Petrichor Road, it is pretty much a home circle for them here, Michael. However, there was a lot of bouncing around to compounds here for them to get this win.
Yeah, it is very odd for the Skulafs team to find themselves in the single yellow house east of...
Блять, фальконовый рангель как бы выбрали. Но кто же мог знать, что так залетит тоже, да?
Yeah, usually not the Skulafs team.
No, definitely not. Obviously, we saw at the beginning of the game the most insane shot. Michael, for me, that has to be the shot of the tournament so far. That was barbaric.
Yeah, that's just why these international events are so good compared to regionals. You just see some world-class players hitting shots, and honestly, Shrimsy probably got hit like that, and he's just thinking, yeah, I mean, this just happens. What can you do? And then Shen just comes in full momentum and just cleans out Kickstart as well.
No, definitely. Now, talk to me about how this all played out. I mean, DN Freaks, it was difficult for them to really deal with where Petrichor Road was. Of course, Twisted Minds was a bit of a focal point in this game as well, right?
Yeah, I saw Twisted Minds. They were sitting on the hard edge of Circle 1, and they hit like a 45-second, 30-second pre.
Блин, ну жалко, что 30 секунд дали, это вообще, да что ж такое-то? Они сейчас могли топ-2 там фармить.
Of course, we're watching as, unfortunately for Clories, or fortunately,
Необъятно.
has to fall all the way off apps here to try and get this full cleanup on 17. This was a moment, Michael. It's always difficult in PUBG when you can't face exactly down for that angle.
Yeah, I know how he's feeling. You just have the inner rage that you can't look down far enough. You're like, I'm gonna ruin the game right now for my whole team. I'll get in there. It's me or him. It's me or him. One of us is dying. You just have to jump on his head and attack him.
Yeah, tough stuff as we look at these final moments as well. DN Freaks has just been a force, just an absolute force throughout all of these TPP games. There was a moment where I thought maybe they were going to be able to do something here against Petrichor Road, but the big swing around. And Michael, it's a very important win, I suppose, for Petrichor Road, because I don't think that they're going to be in contention for that $50,000 first place, but every single kill you get $100, every win you get 1,000, and they can try and challenge for that, I guess, end of day 5,000, right?
Yeah, and I mean now they shouldn't be in last anymore either. I think it's also important for a global partner team to be putting on a good show. I did think that DNF and Twisted Minds could have controlled this Parу win because they were in that single yellow house and they did not pop all of their tires. So Petrichor drives from that single yellow house to the shack that they then won the game from, and that should not be allowed. If you go to that single yellow house, you are meant to have no cars left. As soon as you get there, everyone should be popping your tires.
Well, it looks like Petrichor Road will take the #1 spot for the moment, but it is Falcons just a little bit behind them. The problem for everybody else, especially for Twisted Minds with only the 15, is DM Freaks and T1 are not slowing down. 19 points and 18 points on the day so far. It's a nice little bounce back for Furia, Michael, who on take.
Нет, стоп, это закатку.
Quite a decent eastern spot for a little while.
Или это в общем? А, каждый. Вот, общем. Третье. Так это третье держит.
We had fights where they just want to show individual skill, but it's just so hard at these international events because every single player you're fighting against can 1v4 you in a split second. I just don't know. They have some good games with like 6-7 kills. They also hit a couple donuts and then they maybe have some low confidence. I think they're finding it a little bit.
Нет, это матч 1-12.
They have so much talent. It's just it's probably
Сейчас-то уже 14-й матч был.
Enjoying the
Нет,
cast so
разве?
far, Toffees. Obviously, you've been the eyes in the sky as we've been watching some of these games go down. I don't know how we're going to slow Korea down.
И пупса, особенно второй.
Freaks are looking primed to be with the champion here for whoever it may be, right?
Right.
Let's check in with Bella though. I'll get to you in a moment.
Incredible. Can you tell us a little bit more? What is the rise in your form? Tell us all about it. 혹시 디셈버 선수 이번에 폼이 너무 좋거든요. 그 원동력은 뭔지 디셈버의 12월
это реально они в Корее.
이야기 들어볼 수 있을까요?
比赛打到第3天，你的表现越来越好，能告诉
这是什么歌
我们原因吗？
调整好了，然后我们沟通也好一点。
지금 여기에 잘 적응하고 있고요. 계속해서 열심히 연습하고 있기 때문이라고 합니다.
He said he's been integrating really well, and he's put a lot of practice in, and that is the reason behind his rise in peak form. All right, that is great. And Cold, you were also the top leader on day 2. Can we expect more of JDG's potential and spectacular plays?
У меня? Потому что я на ютубе как минимум 1,5 года не стримил. Вообще ничего не делал.
멋진 플레이를 보여주고 있거든요. 이제 TPP에서 JDG의 활약
50% минимум. До сих пор не знаю, что я вообще стримлю до сих пор это.
很多的。那我们
По вечерам.
在这个 TPP 模式的在 JDG 战队有什么样的表现呢？有什么样的表现？我们这个战队，你们 JDG 战队。
我觉得是上次 PGC 失利之后，尽快调整成这样的吧，因为 PGC 没有进到复活赛，然后就很早就淘汰了，然后也想了很多东西吧。
이제 들어온 여기 연습한지는 많이 얼마 되진 않았지만 여기서 잘 적응하고 있고 더욱더 여기서 좋은 활약을 기대하고
Нормально все, спит.
잘 하도록 더 열심히
Через 14 минут нужно позвонить, разбудить.
Satisfied with the amount of practice they have gotten in so far, but he's rooting for more practice times, and who knows, JDG will take it even further. He's excited as well. Well, we only have 3 matches remaining. What is the final ranking on the leaderboard that JDG is rooting for? 이제 3매치밖에 안 남았습니다. JDG 어디까지 올라가길 노려보는지 한번 들어볼 수 있을까요?
还在有3把比赛，整个这个 PMI 赛事就要结束了。你们的那个最终目标排第几名？
尽量往前5打吧，然后
然
后去适应明年的比赛。
일단 이제 얼마 많이 안 남았지만 최선을 다해서 일단 최종 상위권 안으로 진입하는 것을 목표로 하고 있다고 합니다.
I mean, it's not a lot left, but they're trying to get it as farther up as they can. All right, thank you, December and Colton and Night. 加油 Say bye. 再见.
Тен. Точно Корея? Ну Корея же, ну ее просто. Стоп, сколько? 2 катки прошло? Так все, я пошел тоже курить. Стоп, или самолет летел? Не, показалось. Сейчас же большой перерыв.
They are. I do want to say I love the JDG answers. They were long and meandering, just like their in-game rotations. And I do think T1's dominating this overall event. But what is really cool to me about this event in general, James, is when we started today, we made this comment about the daily winner makes teams like Petrichor, who only had 22 points coming in today, dead last, still play as if there's something to go after. And here they are, after 2 games, leading the day. So there is a world where you come in 22nd with no hope of getting paid, which we know that's the hardest part of being a pro, or at least I think it might be, Michael, when you spend all this time getting to an event and don't go home with really any cash to show for it. Petrichor shows up, is in pole for $5,000 plus kill cash. Like, that fires me up that everyone still has a chance to make money.
That's a good point, actually, Michael. What's it like to walk away from, like, I don't know, say a tournament like PGC, for example? Why are you pulling that face?
This is gonna do him that way. God, I love you, James. I'm sorry, Michael.
God.
Get you some burn oil.
Yeah, is in the bin after 2 tournaments. What happens?
Welcome to the desk, Michael.
I made 5 money over 3 tournaments.
5 money.
5 money.
5 whole money.
Love that. Love that.
Wait, actually $5?
Something like that.
No.
And I had to spend it on getting some noodles.
Hey, they do good
per
noodles
diem
over there in Bangkok,
really
that's
good
for sure.
noodles.
Their daily per diem is what's keeping them alive right now.
Poor Michael's. We put him into flashback mode over here.
Suddenly the screen turned black and white. But anyway, we are currently in the final day of the PUBG Players Masters Invitational with 3 games remaining. And Matchroom, I mean, if Twisted Minds is going to start catching up, it's got to be soon. It's got to be now. And now we also know the next map that's coming up.
Yeah, and this is going to be, like, they have to have just a banger game. They've got to get everything aligned, especially making it in the later stages of that. But it was so hard to get the kills at that point, right? Because all the fighting was on the hillsides.
Definitely it was, as we look across good old Twisted Minds themselves. Michael, how do you think the Molodoct fill-in has been so far?
I think Molodoct MVP'd one of the PGSs. Yeah, don't know. Perfectus is so good as well. So just missing him is like, he kind of gets looked past on Twisted Mind because of the other superstar players they have. But there's so many tournaments he just top frags, and they just have so much. I think that team's just built on years and years of reps in it. I think it's sucking for them a little bit, and then it does also suck that they come against DNF, who seem to have popped their ultimate ability, and they're shooting way differently than everyone else in the lobby right now.
Copies.
Listen, they're here without a leg. They had a leg sliced off, and sure, they got a really nice peg leg made out of the finest wood, but you're not going to have the same dexterity. You're not going to have the same skill. You're going to have to play like a bunch of pirates, and that's what they're doing right now, taking fights when they come up, doing a little bit of stealing here and there, but also having to hunker down, right? Their Tartuga was the apartment complex, and they just sort of held their position there and hoped that the troops would leave them alone.
Yeah, and they were sailing in on those pirate ships from Milta Power. That is not the normal Twisted Minds Erangel. So definitely difficult, but let's check in with good old Paper Thin, who's down on the stage.
With a big win on Erangel, they choose Miramar next, and our 2 top teams are neck and neck. 4 points separate them right now. Who is going to take this next game? We don't know yet, but we got the Dusty Dunes coming up. Let's get that plane up in the air. It's time for Miramar.
Thanks so much, Paper, and off we go. Plane path is going to be down middle south and inning just a bit west of middle. Miramar, a map that can give you so much if you can get it. You guys had talked about Twisted. This is their opportunity, man. Miramar, foot pushes, high kill counts. There is an opportunity, but I'm still so impressed that they're here, given the fact that they even had to play with Tab one of the days. They had 2 different peg leg stoffies that they were having to play with, and still trying to keep those top spots.
They're just dancing across that desert, but the desert is tough for them. There are a lot of holes, and anyone who's rocking a peg knows you don't want to step in there. You don't want to get knocked down, and this is traditionally, actually, percentage-wise, their worst map currently. So this is a tough call for Twisted Minds to make that catch-up, and it kind of does that play into the selection process? Does Petrogor go,
вот прикиньте, в самолете летят, друг на друга смотрят, ничего не делают. Потом летят и смертоубийство. Ужас. Привет, Примак. В смысле? А ты где искал?
They're trying to do modifications. Of course, the JDG T1 hot drop and Chumasera are going to be something that's going to be continued. No point in relenting, but this could spell some problems. Just 4-point differential right now for T1. If they go down here, it could be massive. T1 has been so dominant on this drop. I just couldn't imagine it going that way.
Absolutely. You know, again, though, I do like that they picked this. It's one of those maps where you know that your leader is going to have to go into a hot drop right out of the gate.
Whoa!
He goes down. Punched to death. He got the Uzi, but could not load it in time. Cold 119 with the double barrel. Pop, pop. He goes. And that's 2 down as JDG is dominating right now.
Just type the last one up. And of all the times for JDG to show up, now could just absolutely spoil the tournament. 4 players still up for JDG. Type all by himself. They know exactly where he is. The push coming out. Shots connected. Cold goes down. And it's Type on a just full salvage mission right now. He jumps out, nowhere to really go. He's gonna go down. That's all she wrote.
Type got one. I was hoping
первое место отлетает.
But it's not gonna happen.
Ебой.
And get all their reses and comes away with a big win.
Теперь ДНФ, чтобы отлетело, и твисты конкретно зарубили эту каточку. Можно? Можно нам уже это увидеть?
Was bold and beautiful.
I mean, if you can't win,
что, много просим? Нам много надо.
At this point, to stab at the enemy that you've been dealing with and potentially screw them out of first place is a victory in a hot drop that kind of rallies everything that has been going wrong. The Freaks, massive opportunity right now. 4 points is all they need to surpass T1. Twisted, if they can have a big game, they can be right back in the competition with T1 as well.
That's true. We only have 3 games left to play. The winner takes home $50,000.
Намного не надо.
And the bragging rights of being the first TPP international champions of a new era. In the same way that Full Sense will always get to say, we were the FPP champions, right? We finished out an era. Whoever wins this gets to stay. We started it.
Looking at the circle, it's going to be kind of around that Monte Nuevo point for the center. That means El Pozo with FW, Begapal already in good points. Petrichor Road kind of caught up with the Expendables on the outskirts of Chuma Serra. Gen G going to be rotating right back behind this. Delwyn trying to see if he can steal at least a couple of points. Still sitting in that 11th place position, but not going to find it yet. Here comes new targets, though. Maybe it'll work better this time.
Maybe he'll be Delwyn and not Del Whiff this time around.
Они его хотят,
Come
не?
on, man.
Oh,
there we go. There we go. He got it. Chewy from the back, though. Yike.
Just gonna hunt that one down, see if they can get the res. Ming Ming
Куда ж ты
does go
полз-то?
down. It is gonna be Calorius that takes him away. A lot of potential for some edge fighting on this one as anyone's a legend. Fury is gonna have to regroup. 4 Angry Men, the Freaks, Na'Vi, Genji, and Irina all need to get in the circle still.
That was nice, though. Petrichor did rush over there, and while he was flushed, I believe he was able to snap up that blue chip very, very quickly. This early in the game, that means that they'll be back up to full strength, hopefully, as they continue to pursue their daily dominance. Because remember, though Petrichor is in 15th, right now they're in first overall for the day, which is a $5,000 prize if they can hold that position.
I mean, take the money that is presented to you. Genji is going to get a bit ahead of the Expendables. They're playing more in the southern area right now. JDG is going to be pretty close to them. Petrichor Road has pretty much any pathing options until they get in next to Begapud that they can want to go for. Twisted Minds, though, the looming threat on the hillside. They are going to be playing more into the west. They've got an open path down. Very curious to see where Twisted opts into going here as Glories is going to get all the information he needs on Orca. Shots on the other side of it, and that's going to be an easy flush.
That was great by Cloris. He did the shooting. Tanvu sort of helped with the off angle. Neither of them was overly aggressive. They get themselves a nice little flush there. This is a big game for Twisted Minds, who's in the middle in that 3rd place position. They could take over the lead. But also for Falcons, they have to really honestly win this game in order to be in that race for our final 2 at 77 points. However, they have a decent spot towards the middle. They should get the final shift, or the next shift at least, and put them in a head-to-head with Twisted Minds. So keep an eye on that one. And then 17, who's in 4th place right now, doing a little leapfrogging rotations, but also in a decent spot if they can take this next compound without getting picked off.
A lot of our squads playing along the more field lines right now. They're going to be kind of the west of Picado in that area, or more coming out of Pozo itself. The hillsides just to the southeast of Pozo are extremely strong in the circle and pretty much centered as well.
Кто за кого? А за кого что болеть-то, ребят?
За
кто, конечно.
It feels like 17 might have a path that they're trying to go for, but
Наши ребятки же есть. Вот за них и болеем.
Are they going to just go for the hillsides? It looks like that might be their stop.
Они на 3-м месте сейчас.
It's just too dangerous. And what is going on with Furia? All stacked
Най,
up
привет.
right on top of 4 Angry Men.
Здравствуй. И тебе здорово огромное.
He gets the shots on a Calazine. It's just full on jousting over here to try to keep yourself alive.
Furia has been an adventure in this event so far. I never know what to expect from them as they go head-to-head with 4 Angry Men. I don't think they're going to be happy with that exchange. Calazine left behind. And I do believe that this should just result in them leaving. They got to the circle. They'll move to a placement position. Oh, wait a minute. They're stopping at the rock. Maybe they are not just going to give up.
I mean, they've got good cover point to play from. They've got themselves in a good spot right next to the circle, so they can control this for quite a while longer. It's just a matter of how much of a commitment do they want. But shots from DL shoo them away, and that might just be enough to make them say, not worth.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think they also were sort of scouting to see if they thought they were going to take the blue chip, but Cal was in. Like, was it worth to go down there and try to get it back?
Wait, are they going for compound or are they going for Shin? I couldn't tell. Because they were kind of going more aggressive on the northern side of that compound around it. I mean, you can see 4 Angry Men in some trouble, still under duress from the Freaks.
That's the problem with the Freaks. Everyone is always under duress from the Freaks. Every time we come to this, it seems like our observer's like, wait, we got to pop over there because the Freaks are messing with somebody again. At 113 points, it's not shocking. They're in a really good spot to catch here for T1. And I think it is actually kind of cool that the last time we crowned a TPP champion, it was a Korean team. And the first time we're going to do it in the new era, it's starting to feel a lot like it's going to be a Korean team.
Oh, Na'Vi running right through Twisted. They want this hillside. Batu's up on it right now. Full on Mountain Goat coming in effect. Doesn't get the shots that he wants on it. A lot of damage coming out from Na'Vi. Patulans just has to surrender the angle. Other players for Twisted playing the hillside, trying to keep some cover onto him. Jacob at range. Examples got to put in work. Patulans does go down, but it's going to be from Kickstart. This is the potential for Twisted, and Batu already down and out.
Мне этот момент еще надо позвонить.
The Falcons getting involved with the one. They knew that the fight was started with Na'Vi. They were in a good overlook position, and they're using this to force Twisted Minds to have to go forward into Na'Vi and make them basically.
Бля, нас на нашего одного убили.
There's a strong
Батулина.
Lewin example having to make it happen. Hakatori being very, very aggressive, and Molodok on this off angle for the anchor. I really like that.
I mean, if anything, Batu can now just kind of micromanage the other players, feed them information, but Na'Vi just came into this with authority. You said the fact that, well, everybody's been saying the fact that these guys want to play for kills and they want to stack them up, but it's been kind of a slow start. This is a good position to play from. They're going to have a lot of vision, and Twisted's going to have to be playing from the back foot from here on out. And I think, yeah, they're just going to surrender the point entirely, cut up to the north.
I think that's smart. Move away. Work those losses. Molodok let them know that Na'Vi was falling back off of their initial push, but it's too dangerous of a location. Meanwhile, DL goes after Soul. Anyone's Legend has yet another Panzerfaust. And while Soul does get Salute, Heaven will trade that out. So they should be able to get him in the car and possibly get out of here.
Don't even care about going for the flush. They sense that Himas is coming after him. Well, no, never mind. They do want to go for the flush, but it's been a bit of a problem. They are at least going to get him, and are they picking up the blue chip?
He stayed too long, DL. He wanted to get the blue chip so that they couldn't res him. Moves as soon as the grenade hits the ground, and I believe he gets out of this one. That was very proactive by DL, but absolutely ludicrous, risky.
I mean, yeah, a little bit of, I guess, slander onto Soul there, being like, no, we're going to take you with us. You're a Korean player. You stay with us.
This guy crazy. I love that he did it. I love that he went for it. This is a player who has actually been a standout for the team. Not always talked about, you know, and everyone in Freaks feels like they live in the shadow of Salute. But I really feel like over the last 6 months or so, players like DL have become incredible to watch. Always good players, but now real linchpins.
Если скоро он для ТПП будем с кайфом. Все, сейчас год будет, он для ТПП туриков. Если что. Не скоро, все. Ты должен знать.
We've got a
Боря,
lot of rotators. Most likely it's going to be the Expendables, JDG on the outside. Na'Vi from the position we saw just a second ago. Falcons just to the north of them. Twisted trying to get in the circle. Up to the northeast. We still also have Fury, angry men stacked on top of each other. It looks like Fury's got eyes on the circle and just wants to get there as fast as possible.
Как мы можем он для ТПП играть, если у нас ТПП нету? Ранга. Может быть, много кто играл бы ТПП, кстати, ранг. Но нету. Так, без меня, без меня. Сейчас, ладно, посижу, посмотрю. Да? Посмотрим. Ладно, пока азиаты дерутся, я быстренько за водичкой сбегаю.
Yeah, that was a trap start to finish by FW. They had guys stationed on the second floor. They knew someone was going to drive in out of desperation. That's what happens when the circle's centered on Pozo, and they maximize 3 kills out of that. PO does back off, but PO's not one to leave a fight. He's like, you hurt my team, now I must wait.
Yeah, see if anything spicy happens around him. He has been spotted, though. He's just got to drop down to his belly, but FW can't really surrender this. Up on top, Little Ghost, though, is going to say, hey, thanks for the information and thanks for the free kill. I'll take that perfectly fine. Looks like Delwyn is going to be coming back in from this one, and the Expendables have a path over into the west, maybe eyeing around where
Эх, святого источника в самокате нету.
Little Ghost was literally like, hey guys, I just found a $100 bill on the ground. Cool. And
quite literally. Very true on that one. And now we've got Falcons looking from high ground. I mean, if Batu's not here to do it, that means the Falcons can do it, right?
Тигл-то она вообще своя игра какая-то. Ну, свой пап конкретно.
If they have a guy scouting, we're fucking nude.
I think
It's from the west, bro.
They're team already. I'm not one. You guys need to push?
Is he above?
Yeah, you guys
Down
are good.
orange, yes.
He was on
I'm
blue, he
nading.
gave ground from there. He's
Nading.
deep, you guys can take ground. They're gonna leave.
They shouldn't have all been able to leave. There should still be a guy here, no?
I don't know how many pulled in, I need 2 cars.
Looks good. Okay. Good job, Tig.
Fuck, I failed. No, I could've gotten 2.
Good job, Tig. I like that. Good clean comms. They left it to H-Win. You see Kickstart doing some off calls, and then the rest of the way is just making sure that we're not just going to loot and hold. Can we verify that there are no players left up here? Really clean, effective push there by the Falcons.
I mean, Tosi managed to sneak that one away. You heard the Falcons say that there should be another one up here, and they just didn't really know where he got out to. So, well done on him. That's going to be a regroup on the hillside. Is to the north.
Блин, мне, знаете, экзампл какого-то вот представляется маньяком из Нетфликса, который серийный убийца. Извините. Ничего с собой поделать не могу. Он прям хорошо роль бы сыграл.
The Falcons literally heard the heavens open and like a hymn start to play with that shift because it gives them an actual functional location to get into on the north side. Before that, they were just looking at Poza going, where do we even go?
I hadn't seen too many people go for the emergency pickup with these like open roofed warehouses. That's kind of a new little variation we've seen. Hadn't thought to do that one, but hey, it works, it works.
Да что, роль хорошая это.
I hadn't thought to do it because I know that if we did it, Paru would like get smashed.
Между прочим, главное.
Bro, you know. Somehow he does these things.
I've never seen a man miss so many e-pickups in my life. Don't know what I'm talking about.
He somehow knows how to have the worst thing happen to him in every situation. I don't know if he's just unlucky or if it's just cursed.
I think it's just running to the pickup late. All right, let's check in with Furia. Our wild cards here. Kalazine being called back into the fray. Warehouses, cars, they should have plenty of things to hand to him to get him back up and running. The problem for me with Furia is this is a team that was killing it in TPP in the Americas region and is not doing so here. And it kind of stresses me out, Matt, because it makes me say, are we not ready for this transition? Is PAS going to be a disaster next year?
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking myself with the way Furia has been playing. It doesn't feel like the way I would expect Furia to be playing. Falcons now caught up with 4 Angry Men, making it a bit easier for Furia. This is a very wide split 2-2 for 4 Angry Men. Falcons don't necessarily know that. They just have to treat it as though that there's a ton of people around them for the time. Gonna get need to get some damage, but Jelly doing
Ой, долетело
finally gonna go down. H-Win's gonna connect, but it's gonna be shots coming up from Sololzi to take down H-Win.
Anyone's legend is not winning, but they're there hurting people constantly. As Shen does ultimately steal that with the flush, Tiggleton going to turn and drive away. This hilltop was just too hot, and they decided it's not where we want to stick around. So Kickstart going to get lost as well. And the Falcons, after a really good cleanup on Gen G, see a shift, they go for it, but 4 Angry Men beat them there.
This has gotten into a bit more of a dicey.
Бля, бедный Шеримзия.
They're just getting shot from 3, maybe even 4 different squads right now.
Отмучился.
Shrimsy going down, and there was a massive cost for the Falcons. Now just down to a solo, at least in a decent spot in the circle, is Tig.
Tiggleton and the rest of the team thought they had
Выживание.
a blessing with that circle, but it turns out to be a curse, as now Tiggleton just has to lock into a hole with his car and say, I guess I'm just waiting this one out, boys.
Eyes on other big movements as remember T1 down. Freak's going to still be in Pozo itself. Twisted's going to be playing inside of Pozo as well, very close to them. So if we see another shrink up to Crater Fields, that means Firefight's going to be down around Pozo. We still got JDG roaming around right next to the Expendables. Everything coming down to where's the circle going to go? The hillside's being very lit up right now as Gen G, Arena all on top of each other. We keep in some of Pozo, we keep in the hillside. So it is going to be a firm collapse in from all the squads in the west.
Things should kick off pretty aggressively here as our teams try to make their way, and it looks like Furia might be working an E-pickup, but I don't know where you drop if you take it. They don't have a lot of options. Maybe the edge of the crater just north of the field. There's no way it's got to be a scout pickup, right? Like send one up to figure out where to go.
I would be afraid to go up that hillside because where those compounds are at, you know that there's already somebody up in the hills. You just saw that like Falcons just got ruined over there. An emergency pickup could let you leapfrog and try to get into Pozo, but that's not going to feel any better. They do let it pass, but I don't know what you do. Everything's going to be a bad situation. Petrichor Road right on the edge of the zone, trying to control and corral everybody else into other firefights. 17 going to be one of the squads that they are trying to keep control over and kind of forcing 17 more and more to the south as JDG still has to deal with the Expendables right on top of him. And anyone's legend just going to get a whole bunch of friends real fast, and that's going to be Furia.
Teams are going to start to kick off in a second. We see Furia making that transition. I think we have Mark Powers with a quick update on Furia's plan going into this endgame.
Furia, look, they had a lot of lessons to be learned from day 1 and day 2. But as I say, it's to them, it's all about keeping numbers up. No surprise they went for the recall. No surprise they got the reset now. Now they're going to get an aggressive stance in towards the south side of the zone.
Oi!
They're trying to get that aggressive stance, and I get that that's the plan, but the problem is everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, and Furia has been getting punched in the face over and over and over. They're going to have to drive themselves to the hospital with this jaw. It's been shattered so badly.
Cold, big performer for JDG on top. Eyes on to the Expendables as Furia is just going to continue having woe after woe hit them. Maybe they can team up with Tiggleton and become an unofficial green squad between the three of them. But JDG's got to continue to control this angle as efficiently as possible, try to force them more into Pozo, and that's going to open up sight lines for Petrichor Road. The Expendables, no real good options, and AZ lines in. Tanvu at least finds a building to stop at.
The Expendables once again crashing into wherever they darn feel like and suffering a loss in doing so. But the problem is that scatters everyone. Ghost tries to make a run to get away from them, and in doing so is exposed to Petrichor. That's what, honestly, the Expendables are just chaos goblins.
I mean, that's what gets them the points every single time, forcing everybody else to play around what they want to do. JDG in some trouble. Chewy's gonna drop nades right on top of them. That's one. December 12th in some trouble as well.
Хотел просто под всю карту стоит, как
get some distance away from it, but Petrichor Road, they've just got control over everything in the west, but now the Expendables getting involved, trying to shoo Chewy out of that point. He's in a bit of a problem. Tires being popped, lots of issues coming his way, but the hillside should save him.
He's trying to get out of there, but it's a Han Solo. There's not a lot of places to go. He does go for the full reverse, somehow survives and gets to heal up as they absolutely chewy JDG apart. I don't know what JDG was thinking. They got dismantled by that push.
2v1 fight between Furia and Tiggleton. As it's all kind of come down to this to stay alive, the circle has gone back down to Pozo. That means that some of the hill is going to be where we're at right now, but it's going to be right on the edge. AL, E-Arena, all converging on this. Na'Vi still got the high ground. That's going to be pretty close to 4 angry men, but E-Arena is going to have to deal with Genji right on top of him, and Cold still alive from JDG. Petrichor Road also has to push in, at least into the hillside or Pozo. The Expendables going to be gatekeeping them.
All right, Big Tiggleton, sick apparently, also holding down the entire team right now as he's sticking to his rituals, trying to make sure that he can play this. JDG is now officially eliminated as Cold 119 goes down to the blue. This is it. Americas versus Americas. It does seem to be like this so often.
Oh, yeah, and what sucks is that there's a decent chance that really Furia or Falcons might not get too many kills out of this. It's a matter of what anyone's legend wants to do. We do have ourselves some team comps.
Треугольниками убить хочет.
I just don't know why he's not pushing you. It seemed like the far guy didn't even know you were there. Yeah, he did. No,
НТ. Говорят, типа, не знает, хули они не пушат его. А вот что-то. На себе кинул. Да, он не увидел.
And there he goes. But it's not even... Oh, yeah, it is Kalenstein. Nice play by Kalenstein, finally, to take
that push. На развороте.
The Expendables in some trouble. Petrichor Road in some trouble, as this is just going to be everybody running in over here. 17. Not really getting too involved.
Опа, 300 начинают кого-то там мучить.
Just trying to make their push into E-Arena, but that's being supervised by anyone's legend, so it's just dicey and dicey for everyone over here. That's going to be Genji eliminated, but now, E-Arena, you at least took them out. What do you do next? Because now you have to deal with everybody from AL on top of this hillside, and that's going to suck.
It is going to be horrible. Anyone's legend up here on this high ground. Wicked has been kind of a non-factor.
Куда же вы полетите, ребята?
This time, though, he's got 3 kills. When he can go up on the high ground and play at his pace, he seems to put in a lot of work. Example, watching from a distance, he just jumps, man modes his way out of there, pops the parachute, and is going to be looking to join his teammates. I think he's going to get away with it.
It's kind of hard to hit this because, I mean, you get that little bit of sway that happens on the parachute on initial opening. So they're going to try to steal that and do manage to do it. But now they're going to deal with Furia in the lower ground. Na'Vi, this is just no real good options. Twisted, though, has managed to find at least
Где
one
твисты?
kill over here with the way that the circle's set. They're right along the edge of the zone. FW did kind of get into the point round below them, but ooh man, that's a
Кто на
great
карте
circle
найдет
for the
15
freaks.
А,
They
вон
need
они,
2
господи,
more
слева
points
внизу.
to overtake T1.
Oh, nice shot, Hackatory. The man, the myth, the legend. It doesn't matter how his team is doing. Hackatory is always doing well as he pulls the grenade out, pushes forward on Kawazine, gets the spray to follow it up. Little help from Sosed, and off they go. Furia eliminated by EMEA. Himass out by the tree, not a lot of cover, half a smoke, and a lot of prayer.
Yeah, there's not much that really can be used on this hillside until you deal with Na'Vi up here, and they are a consistent threat to every single one of these remnant squads. They still even have Fairest Waver on the other side of it, denying out anything. Himas is going to surrender it over to blue. Now Na'Vi has a lot of control in the circle. Up on top, looking down into everything. The Expendables on the other side, eyes onto the Freaks, the other major control point in the circle.
Nice move around. This is that moment in the circle where everyone starts to try to feel each other out. It's going to slow down for just a second. And the moment that there is a crash and the third party opens, you're going to see that kill feed just start to spam as everybody makes their moves in to the spot. FW going to collapse on these warehouses. They're bringing the rest of the team in. Sixack still holding the anchor roll. He'll close with the blue, and they'll be in a pretty good position going forward. Twisted Mind's not in the circle yet, in a tall order to get in as they try to scout. Molodok
Проходят чуть по чуть. А куда дальше? А, все.
Yeah, the other players were trying to see if they could get any eyes on FW, who was taking over one of the
Через пожарку.
just down to the south of the circle. So it's going to start being open vision for the high ground Na'Vi. Not going to be the best of angle to approach from. Lou is at least going to get some information. It doesn't look like there's anybody danger close to them. But remember that Twisted, if they go for a path over here, they still have to cross a road, and that's why they've got the smokes down. This is going to eat a lot because there's just no cover to deny out any of these fortified positions.
Да, блядь, да отстаньте вы от молодости, ёпрст.
Human, but this should be resable for now, but there's still
Дайте
another
молодому
cross
пожить.
on this road that they have to deal with, and a lot of smokes are being burned.
Yeah, this is a very difficult situation for them. On top of that, it's DNF that's holding them out, the team that's currently ahead of them on the boards, in a position to pass T1 to take over first place in this event with only 2 games left to play. DNF, pole position in middle, hard cover, 2 fields to watch, easily some extra kills on the board. DNF is... this is a throw if they don't win, I think.
Well, it's also a very big game potential for Na'Vi, as most of these squads are going to have to walk into open corridors that Na'Vi has control over everything from. They get to see every movement, they get to have an idea on who's going to be going after who. And you can see, they're
Пиздец,
kind of trying to
блядь,
force
твистам
T1
сейчас такая
going for
жопа
this res
будет.
to maybe go a bit closer to the Freaks, trying to force
Ебануться.
Twisted in that line.
Всё, уже жопа.
FW, forcing FW closer to the Freaks.
Нет, особо не жопа.
Enough of
С
these
такими
teams stack
хаешками.
on top of each other and do the damage.
Здорово.
Run
Смотрите,
down
какая
this high ground,
стадия.
right on top of
Это
the
третья
Orange
катка.
men, just kind of hiding in the shade of all the bullets above them and just steal away this game. But I do agree that you are correct. Right now, Freaks
Бля.
have the highest control point.
Ёб твою мать, ща все, просто все летит в них. Все абсолютно. Ну а всего, ну день третий, ну по идее все же. Блядь. Ё-моё.
Perfect timing. Na'Vi now knows, okay, we've got this new position that we can shift forward to. We've got the rock. We've got the control. Just still keep it going. Really, it's a matter of, do they want to allow FW to go after the Freaks, or do they want
Знаете,
the kills themselves?
не смотрел турики, ни за кого не болел. Твисты все время всех ебали. Как начал топить за них прям сильно-сильно, ну так все. Ну я сглазил, что ли, или что?
Refuse to die over there on the edge. No matter how many times Na'Vi takes the shots at him, if they get a knock, somehow TE finds a way to continue going, but it feels like it's just about done. There's no way to get out of this one, backing right up into the sight line.
I don't know what the options are as the Expendables are eliminated. They've been Chaos Goblins in this match. They finally go down. DNF looking to set in stone that this is potentially their tournament. Up to 123 points with a good chance to get even more, though. Rise makes the move on Salute.
Да не 10, ну 6 каток, все. Только по 6 каток. Ты чё, каких 10 каток в день, что ли? Они ж вообще охереют от жизни с такой играть. Дефолт 6 каток. Еще 3 будет после этого.
Peeks along the doorways, closing the door just to buy some more time. Shotgun does not get the knock. Human tries to go for the stall with some stuns. peeks it back around, does connect, the Freaks stay alive!
F your
Экшен
shotgun,
пошел.
he says, and he gets them down. Freaks making plays as they go to a 10 kill streak. Meanwhile, in the off, it's Na'Vi against 4 angry men. They're making the most of the ability to fight here while Freaks were distracted. Hakatori trying to come down this hill, but 4AM holding the low ground very, very aggressively. It's not going to last long, though, as DNS still has 2, and it's in their best interest to turn around and try to backstab this fight.
They've got to get the reses. They've got to get their meds back up. There's a little bit of time that Na'Vi still has to try to close this out. The Doritos right up on top of Longs, playing along the smoke. Longs going for a peek out, but it's read by Hakatori. So up on the high ground, it is going to be Na'Vi, 61 points, and Freaks presently in first place with 2 players having to walk into a very fortified circle from Na'Vi.
Na'Vi in a great position where I thought Freaks had this.
Не 6 каток. Турики сейчас идут по 3 дня в основном. Все стадии финалы, гранд-финалы, не финалы. Все 3 дня, по 3 дня идут. И по итогам 3 дней, и в каждом дне по 6 каток, и в общей сложности 18 их получается, выявляется по очкам уже победитель.
Everything hinges on Human. Can he get this nade to connect onto somebody? But Na'Vi already knows. He's already playing around these positions. It's just got to be careful. Nade does come down, get some damage. Doesn't get the knock. Human still playing this a bit wild. Nade connects, but doesn't get the knock again. Lots of damage, but it's still not enough.
Human making plays. Kylire's going to be ecstatic. He captained him after the recommendation from Paper Thin.
Нет, просто у всех пуль максимум 100. 150. Остальные в утиле.
But if they do, I dare say it could be borderline legendary. Taking Na'Vi out of a defensible position in a 1-1 split would be wild.
Они ж не кидают это постоянно. У них там такой файт один, может быть, из катки будет все.
Human does get the knock down into a 2v2. DL trying to get some more support set up for his teammate. Human on this hillside starting to become a bit more unlocked. DL just runs through, being a distraction. Shots not really connecting, and somehow getting into the circle.
It's gone to the 2v2. That is absolutely wild. Human gets another $100 in the hopper. Ferris going to lump up against Hakatori, and the 2 of them playing side by side. DL, not a lot of cover down there. He's got the car. He's got the smokes. He's going to make a send. Human's going to have to cover it.
How does he keep getting into this new point? These guys are just playing off of each other perfectly, using distractions between the 2 of them. Hakatori one side of this, Human on the other. You can see DL just trying to get some way, some angle in on this circle to provide some support, but it's so hard. There's a dip that Na'Vi is playing from right now, and so much of the utility was burned by Human beforehand. DL in this low ground position at least gets to the rock, and it is just back and forth. And Na'Vi cannot find a way to take down the Freaks, even though they've gotten so close so many times.
No.
Na'Vi just has to wait. Deal's got his back to the blue. He's going to have to move first. He has 0 cover. Both of the guys from Na'Vi going to go ahead and stack full boost. They're in a really good position. That said, I think I saw an there. So if there's a chance for an opening knock from Human, that could allow DL to move forward here as they try to knock. He's moving to a spot. He knows they're going to peek him when he pushes. This is really good.
The smokes coming out from Human to provide
Ну, то, что инфы больше собирает, это я.
Perfectly. There's still shots just wild into the smokes that are connecting onto DL, but again, the longer that DL stays alive over here, it opens up an opportunity. Na'Vi playing from the back foot right now has to be careful. The blue zone encroaching onto both of them. Human starting his
После года в ТПП пацаны обратно, когда от первого пойдут играть турики, они с собой столько утила носить будут, так натренируются с ним.
Na'Vi does. Hakatori played very, very well, but honestly, I got to give laurels to DNF. Getting out of that warehouse at all was shocking, and then being able to walk away with 2 additional points for it was really impressive from downhill, from not being as close to the dot. That was huge by the Freaks.
Я думаю, украинский флаг принесут.
Na'Vi, what do you want? You get to set pacings in. Let's go ahead and bring in Kalaris. Give us some insights moving into this next game. Kalaris, where do you think that Na'Vi is going to go?
Oh, it's a tough one for me. I think
да почему не вернется-то? Ну, будут иногда, наверное, турики от первого. Видимо, теперь в основном от третьего, но иногда-то должны быть от первого тоже.
Back to Erangel we go here for Na'Vi. Good win from them. I don't think they're going to be challenging for that #1 spot here, but it's still a strong
Знаешь,
win from that
столько
high
лет
ground.
турики от первого, и тут просто резко все, до свидания. Больше не будем он первого лица их бахать. Мне кажется, они должны баланс найти какой-то, чтобы просто, ну, ТПП турики вообще существовали и жили, ну, в большинстве своем случае. Пацана просто закидали кулаками. Смотрите, рега какая. Бежишь за челом и сразу регает. Бежишь на русском серваке или вообще в паблике за чуваком, в упоре бьешь. Да ты просто, не знаю, там, расчесываешь ему на голову. Или просто гладишь по спине. Но урон не наносится. Да, на Чумасере первое место ёбнули там. Ебать, обсмотрите, как тут чел сидит охеренно.
And then they even lost the hot drop that they've been winning time and time again. That's a lot of mental blows to all stack right on top of each other.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I love this new draft thing, right? Like, in the old days, we'd have like Na'Vi being like, well, we can commit to a hot drop for the first 3 games and see how it goes. You can't anymore because you don't know what's going to get picked. And on top of that, you might get, like, they might T1 you into a hot drop to hurt your ability to win in the last game. That adds this whole new level of sort of draft strategy that I think is really fascinating and could change the way that not only do we do analytics, but the way that teams approach day 1 and day 2 of these tournaments.
Yeah, I totally agree. Michael, considering that we're not going to Tego currently, do you think T1 should be pivoting here?
Yeah, I just think that team needs a bit of a mentality change if they want to be taken seriously by teams like Twisted Minds to win tournaments. You can't just be hot dropping it when you're in first place. It's
right.
Like everyone goes into every tournament saying Twisted Minds are probably going to win it, and T1, if they want to be pushing for a global partner, if they want to be pushing to win titles, they need a little mentality change, especially if they're in the lead.
Well, Kalaris, I've got a follow-up question regarding this. We're going to Erangel, where we do see T1 Yaznayev 4 Angry Men hot drop. 4 Angry Men kind of pulled away from it last time. If you're 4 Angry Men, do you kind of hope that you can do the same thing that JDG does? Because if you can kind of win that firefight this time, that means that T1 might have to start thinking about surrendering these hot drops in the future just so that way they can hold leaderboard position.
Michael?
I don't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that, I think 4M are just, they are a team that want the position they're in now. They do not care. It's T1 have to leave Yaznaya as much as it sucks, and you're going to be flustered from looting a new spot, and it's not ideal because you don't have the reps. I mean, 4AM are 4AM, and they went there today. They just had a weird fight with Falcons, so T1 get away with it. But yeah, well, let's see if T1.
Ну, смотрите, тут просто кто победил, тот карту и выбирает. Видимо, Ронда и Таега, ну, не совсем любимые карты игроков.
It seemed like T1 was very focused on the west side of Yaznaya as well as Nolene on the spread, whereas 4AM was going over to the east, right? So the technically, yes, they're kind of in the close vicinity, but there's not as much conflict as I was kind of expecting. So maybe that arises again as we take a look at our day leaderboard so far. And it's DN Freaks again. Petrichor Road, though, Toffees, has been present in a lot of these late games to be able to get themselves...
Там вообще надписей у них много, как будто бы, на столе. Там интересно вообще, какие карты-то. Там больше, чем, знаете ли, Санок, что ли, выбрать, блядь? Можно, извините. Нет, еще если ты победил, ты косарь долларов заработал на команду. Я понимаю. Тот, кто побеждает, тот плюс кес получает.
Hey guys, I've got the superstar again for our best grab someone from Na'Vi. Great win though from your guys. Obviously converting that from the high ground though. What does it mean though coming in for this next game though? The guys should be pretty pumped.
Yeah, unfortunately we're not able to fight for the first place anymore. But this is our first TPP win on LAN, and I think the boys will remember it. So we're really happy with that.
And I talking to you at the very beginning, it was all about aggression.
За косарь-то?
Trying to get as many kills as possible.
Булочка столовая.
The first couple of games didn't go. Are they guys going to still stick at this, being more aggressive and trying to find the amount of kills they can find?
Мне страшно представить, ты как там питаешься вообще. Лобстер и икра черная. Лобстер нафаршированный черной икрой. На завтрак. Чисто червяка заморить.
You cannot play just regular. You need to do something more aggressively, push and stuff. Yeah. So, but it didn't go our way as we tried, but we tried.
Как то, они школьники? Где? Поместить? Там всем минимум 20.
Yeah, we will just play our own game.
А то и минимум
try
больше.
to
На вид, ну,
maybe
на вид, да.
try one new thing for our team, because in TPP we want to use this matches to try new stuff to actually prepare for TPP next year.
What's the new stuff you're trying?
That's a secret.
It's worth a try, guys. I can hear him getting ready. I'll get out of him after camera. I'll throw it back to you guys. Appreciate the time.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you, Alrain, as well. I'm sure that he's enjoying a good time with the win. Let's check in with Paper Thin for the next game.
But they have chosen Erangel, so we're going to see it one more time here today. We've got 2 more games. Buckle up. We're getting ready. Let's get into Erangel. Let's go.
Here we go. The last Erangel for the PUBG Players Masters.
Чё, 3 катки осталось, говорит. Пиздец, всем жопу порвет. Кто последнее место займет. Быстрее, быстрее, Рангель.
I do think that we're not gonna. I think those hot drops are gonna agree to split. We've got too many teams that are looking to make money right now. Alrain put.
Лысый хуйни не скажет, как бы.
He also reminded everyone there is $100 per kill. There's a daily winner value, so there is an impetus not to just throw bodies at another team because you want to make a point. I really enjoy that. I like the idea that there are stakes. There's ability to get these players paid down to the very last shot in this event.
And it's I gotta give respect to Mark. He tried. He was like, "What are these secret strategies?" You know, maybe hoping the fact that he get the slip up, but no.
Кто карту выбирает, тут вначале отъезжает, кстати. Кто там? Бля, ну Нави топ-1 взяли. Они выбрали Эрангель. Если реально так и есть, то... Ну, они первые умирают приблизительно где-то так.
So a lot of fun background stuff there. But Alrain not giving away a secret. Matt, I don't think he has a secret right now. I think they're just winging it. And I think they plan on going to the drawing board in January. And the secret is, we're just throwing stuff against the wall and see how it feels.
The secret is we need to get Hakatori into a better high ground spot so that way he can shoot everything. That's the master strategy developing. I mean, it might just be a change in drops too. Like,
А я не Ванга. Понимаешь ли, я тут этот день смотрю, уже 3 катки прошло, и вот тенденция, знаете ли, такая. Чуваки выбирают карточку и что-то решают не играть эту карту. Странно. Для кого выбирают? Что мы имеем? Фальконы берут топ, выбирают Эрангель, отъезжают в начале. Ну, потом тоже ничего не делают особо, отъезжают. Там резнули их. Т1 берут карту, выбирают Мирамар. Их кулаками, сука, отпиздили в начале, в чуме. Нави взяли Эрангель. Смотрим.
And incredibly annoying. That's the way I remember it. Circle has gone to where the Western Bridge coming out of military is kind of the center point. You have to assume that we are going to stay on the main island and not go over to military, but the way the circle's been popping, who knows? That does also make it a pretty awkward circle given plane path. Only really the Expendables 17, Genji, and Navi in the circle for the time being. So, not a lot of really...
Случайность, да? 3 подряд случайности.
I think Genji's in a really good spot here. They're going to be able to loot quietly. They can camp the bridge. No one's really going to push too aggressively towards them in the south just yet. So they should have a very good early game.
Ну, посмотрим. Я не 100%, конечно, уверен. Просто наблюдал это 3 раза уже за сегодня.
맛있는 거 먹자 얘들아. 사줄게. 1등만 해봐 일단. 가보자. 못하면 예 파이팅. Let's go Twisted Minds.
О, фанат.
Buy you dinner if you win, or I'll punch you if you lose. Sounds like my boys when they're playing Pico Park over there.
Да, глянь.
I like that gamer attitude.
Eyes on the circle, you can see that Fury is calling emergency pickup, trying to leapfrog over Everest. JDG is just going to be the south of them. Begapa over into the
Хаешку под себя, пацаны.
pretty quick
Ладно. Чё, ему никто каску вторую не нашел, а? Чё, ему вторую каску никто не мог найти? Вы чё сколько лутались? Почему 3 вторых, 1 первая? Ребята, это не командный дух и не тимплей нихуя. Вы почему не поставили меточку на каску? Ну ёпросто, ну по-любому нашли, просто завтыкали и хуй забили. Вам что, не важна победа, что ли, а? Ну вот зарядят ему 2 пульки, и все. 3 вас останется. Так может сразу втроем начнете, нахуй это все. А!
Especially given the fact that you're going to be dropping in with, unless they have a second emergency pickup. That's usually the way that these go. JDG, though, has found one of their own. I would have to imagine that you have to drop along coastline, maybe push your way back in, one side or the other, because if you jump military, you don't have a second emergency pickup. Unless you find a car, it sucks to get back across. And chasing the circle on that bridge is just ass.
Чё, блядь? Соберитесь, сука! Мы вообще весь мир на вас смотрит. Чё за хуйню творите, а? Хорошо, хоть колеса не заруинили, а? Сейчас было бы ржачно. Не комбез для плавания, это спортивные костюмы. Не понимаешь. Латексный, спортивный костюм. Нет, тут кто-то в скинчике бегает, курточки такой прикольный. У меня есть, кстати, эта курточка. Как будто бы вайп есть немножечко изменить гардероб. Не гардероб, в гардеробе оно и так лежит, я имею в виду изменить внешку. Курточку эту одеть, она что-то мне прям нравится. Топ-4 азиаты и наши. Молнии на жопе? А ты где захочешь молнию, там и будет. Для быстрого доступа сходить в туалет, все верно. Ты же это имела в виду, правильно?
You get high kill counts for squads like Na'Vi whenever you play from high ground, but I mean, Twisted just kind of getting forced out of it. Oh, there's JDG taking down Poza on their landing.
Furia, that's a very aggressive. So the E pickup, they went straight to Fairy Pier with it, instead of sort of dropping out in Quarry and working their way in. It seems like maybe this wasn't the spot, as we got a nice big spread out here. So they'll lose a player and try to tuck in and do their best. This has been Furia's day, though. It just feels like their ideas on macro are there. They're just not executing at the tail end of these rotations.
Yeah, the micro movements in the macro aren't working for them. They've got the macro down. They know exactly where to go to get in the strong point. This is a very strong point for the circle, very safe. It does also mean the fact that you're a bit behind. Remember that JDG also did do the emergency pickup right back behind him.
А где фура? Вот кто у них умер? Вот вы мне скажите, вот фуры, про которых я говорил, что касочка первая у человека. Вторую не нашли. Вот кто у них умер, а? Ну, конечно, бедолага в первой каске. Я просто уверен в этом. Я вот не подсмотрел, не определил, и все. Я что-то завтыкал. О чем думал? Куда смотрел? Вот там убили у них. Блять, пойдемте посмотрим, кого убили. Пур пассак, да? Чем?
More into that western bridge as well. Everybody else got some space to play, but the coastline's popping off, Toffees. I mean, we got Furia, JDG, Genji over there, anyone's legend, and everybody else just kind of spattered across the hillsides north of that.
Не, нехуй сказать больше. Безалаберные, блин, какие-то.
There, and then 17 did an E pickup. The problem with their E pickup is the drop path is like there's nowhere that's open. I don't know where they go, as the entire path of that helicopter is contested.
I mean,
here they come.
W is dropping late, and it's going to have the same idea. Fairy Pier. And Furia kind of caught a bit unaware on this one. Forza Kraken's got a ton of friends on top of him. And just
Это все касочка, да. Не позаботились о второй касочке своего тиммейтика. Конечно, важна касочка.
He goes to a very strong defendable stairwell. We've seen a lot of pushes just go absolutely awry on this, but instead just going to use the distraction to get back, try to get to a reinforced line where his teammates can provide some form of cover.
Nice there. Nice defense from Fury as they back off. A lot of prize money on the line here. Roof shot by Rise gets Kraken down. Kawazine now has to fall back. I think they have to just abandon Kraken here.
Yeah, this is all problem upon problem, and JDG, fortunately, in choosing to not get involved, they like their hillside position.
Блять, я чела ник прочитал не как Шкракен, а как Жракен.
Navi's kind of in a loose bridge camp right on the outskirts of this, so there are very few places that Furia can get out.
Yeah, I mean, that said, though, I think if they can just hold, get into a house with 3 and just lock it down.
Ну вот, видите, получается, подвела меня статистика. Нави вон в центр заехали. Кого воскресят? Там их уже сыпят. Они там сыпятся конкретно. Никто там уже их не воскресит. Их 2 осталось. Выпускайте Жиракина. Да. Есть Кракен, а есть Жиракин.
Pacing has slowed down a bit in the center areas that we're going to be looking at, but externally it's about to get a bit more wild. Over to the east, there's a ton of squads that are stacked on top of each other. Na'Vi does get some shots into what's going to be going on with the rotated cross from military. To the east, we've got Falcons. They're going to have to brute force their way along the line. We're 4 angry men. What anyone's legend is at.
Да, ну я говорю, видите. Значит, случайность была 3 раза.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tall order. Navi's got a good angle on EA. They actually backed off of their hold on the bridge and let EA get across for the most part. Nurens, I think, did get stopped on the bridge by some high ground fire from the lighthouse. But they did better than I expected. Furia, though, being attacked. FW is not giving them any space, Matchroom.
Oh, good counter push between the two. I love the fact that Furia sent one player on the outside to defend. Dana 1 down, gonna get flushed. This is back into a 2v2, and this feels way better than just 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, Kawazine and Furia, they showed that they tried to look weak. They fell back. They baited FW into a push, and when they came at them, they handled it very well by jumping out of the house and getting that wraparound. So now it's Ryzen 6 sacks, trying to figure out, we had an advantage. Now what do we do? Because they are spread out. They can't protect each other. If one of those goes down, it's going to be a flush push by Furia.
New contender may be approaching. Human is playing right along the coast, right next to the pier on the outskirts of this, trying to scout for the rest of his squads. If he hears the firefight, this could be the Freaks thinking about getting involved. Red Zone's going to appear on top of Gen G, who's going to think just popping a couple of shots over into Petrichor Road.
Ну, Норка в первой касочке, следующий будешь.
Bit open, destructible shack, probably about to get really destructed as the mortars just rain down. Petrichor Road at least staying alive, though, for now.
Holy crap. You see 4 mortars in the distance. That is wild. They've collected all of the mortars, Matt.
All of them raining down right now. That is scary stuff. Is the shack finally going to get blown away by the impact alone?
Gen G's really been leaning into mortars. This is the second game where they hyper-packed mortars and used it to dislodge someone in the field.
Hey, if it works, man. Take your free kills.
A lot of teams will pick one up with like 2 or 3 mortars. I feel like they're hyper-prioritizing them.
This isn't the rotate you wanted, Falcons. Begapa right on top of you. These guys will scrap. That's going to be H1 having a turnaround as a BRDM going to be chasing after him now. Kickstart the rest of the boys from the Falcons, realizing this is a massive problem. Even the Expendables taking long-range shots into this. Park Pro is going to hop out. Try to see if he can catch somebody on the Falcons. But it is just a spattering of green right across the green hills of Erangel. And the Falcons have nowhere to really go to try to get away from this. They're all just being corralled together.
It's a
and
trap.
That's going to be, they have to defend up. P.O. on the other side of this, he wants a piece.
He's not going to drive away. He says, your trap is my trap now. And they spring the shark tank. P.O. jumps out, pulls off the Dragonov. The rest of his team comes in, but Tig is waiting on the tree. The spray pops out, and the Aussie Murder Master goes ahead and lights up Songjang.
Here comes the BRDM, though, and that's a problem that has to be contended with. Tig's going to have to dance around that one for now. Trimsy's got his own set of problems. PO on the other side of it. It kind of broken off into a whole bunch of little micro 1v1s. But 17 at range gonna spout out PO and take that one away.
Oh,
they stole the BRDM?
Замечательная стадия.
Get it for free.
I think that somebody jumped out to try to go after him, and so now the BRDM is theirs with the expendables right underneath of them.
Flori's going to try to get away, but nope, Kickstart will not allow that to happen. A really nice play. Trimsy got Baglepaw to follow him and dragged all of their players into a high ground trap where now they got a BRDM and Overlook on the expendables, who is also chasing the fight.
I don't know if Falcons know about Duck Juice, though. He is really close to them.
БРДМ, пацаны, привезли, отдали. Лут подарили. Заботливые. Продались американцам.
Right on leading into military as well, so there's like a smidgen of that that's still accessible. So T1 in a phenomenal spot while everybody else just kind of stuck dealing with like hidey holes, except for Gen G, who's got the only other compound in the circle, really.
Great news for T1. They're able to hold Icebox completely uncontested. They even have a res beacon.
У тебя базука есть, чел.
And everyone else is going to have to scrap for transition as Tanvu opens the door, trying to fight back against Tickleton and the Falcons. Trimsy spraying the drive away. Can he finish the job?
Blue zone ticking, trying to add in some more. Duck Juice does get some damage out. Delwin's going to go down on one side of it. H1 on the other one. Tickleton down as well. It's starting to stack up. Just kickstart the last one up. The expendables finding a lot in this. And now the BRDM just rolling down the hillside comes to a stop. Kickstart, nowhere to go. And that's going to be Baglepaw stealing some of those kills. The expendables feeling pretty good at 4, though.
Yeah, the Expendables played that very aggressively, and it worked out. They got a double. Duckshoes got a double knock on the Sonics, and it just kind of left them reeling, as those were their anchors.
Don't take this. This BRDM is cursed. Everybody that gets into it dies. Now the Freaks in a bit of trouble, down to just 2 players as well. They made this push along the lines with JDG, but now it's going to be at least the flush. This is a pretty precarious push up the top of this. Suze, the last one alive. He could potentially ruin the Freaks and open this game entirely back up.
I think right now, the biggest benefactors of this fight is T1. They're watching the kill feed. They are cheering out of their minds for this fight to go against DN Freaks. They need JDG to play this well because it's going to allow them to catch up as they head into the final game of the day. And they need those points. 133 right now on DNF is crazy.
See that there is a res coming in from Park Pro trying to get all the big up players back. New circle has revealed itself, leaves the compound that we're presently sitting out. The expendables need to get in. 17 needs to get in over in the east. There's going to be a cluster of teams that are going to have to fight. Of course, FW and Furia are going to have to get some separation. As soon as they just kind of juking back and forth between the 2 different points, waiting for the stairwell. Can he get the peek?
Bля.
Get the knock on a 1. Can't get the second one. Freaks find themselves another point.
And they keep racking it up. That's the problem. Even when they lose 1, they walk away with 3 extra points. EN trying to knock a little twisted
Ой.
out of the sky.
Это example.
Это
пиздец.
But it worked out. His example just falls to his death.
Navi in a shack, pretty decent position.
Конечно, это принципы хорошие, между прочим. Довольно-таки.
Twisted Minds, right on the edge of the zone. They're being gate camped out by T1, though. Gen G on the opposing side of it, also in a gatekeeping position on a 4 angry men and 17. Most of this circle is going to be dead. The northwestern section of it is just fields, a couple of hay bales, and nothing that anybody wants to play. So the cluster is going to be the collapse onto the hillsides, most notably around where AL is going to be at and where E Arena is. And if you can get far enough in, maybe even try to usurp the position that T1's playing from.
Что с машиной?
That north field had a mortar attack and a red zone strike, so there's no hay bales, there's no shacks, there's nothing left out there. T1 in a really good spot. I expect Heather to start to move up that hill in just a little bit and try to secure a place, but they are in a very good spot. 17 and 4 AM now having a battle outside the circle. Both of them desperate to move in a little bit closer. 4 AM though knows that they've just got to go for it.
Oh, and they're running right into Little Ghost. Man, Little Ghost is just having a resurgence. This guy is clutching up big plays for his squad. Other side of it, Jiawu, he never stopped being good. 4 angry men just in so much trouble. Tongmu, the last one up, trying to see if he can get a drive-by, and even that is denied.
That 4 angry man was just throwing their bodies at that fight. Right? Well, that's the beauty of a BRDM. The Expendables who got it from the Sonics, who got it from Baglepaw, are putting it in good work.
That just broke my voice. Sorry about coughing there. I was just Not expecting that one. In the process of taking a drink. Externally, FW still kind of alive. 2 players up. Jin G, eyes on the circle. 17 has path in. Don't forget about Park Pro. He called in his boys just a moment ago. See where they're going to go. I don't know if anything's going to be good to land on, though.
I said Sonics. Oops. The Falcons had the BRDM. It got stolen.
Вот, сука, не знаю, все больше, чем смотрю турики, так и хочется самому турик какой-нибудь пойти поиграть. Но...
All right, Opons, nice little hop up on the hill, trying to get the high ground on FW. Jacob making sure that he's not backed up in the smoke.
Хотя, в принципе, есть кого собрать.
Getting the information from Jacob's like, he's got to be right here, and then peeks down and gets
Подумать.
All right, here come the reinforcements, kind of, for Vegapunk. They're trying to land. What do you even lose? There's nothing. Oh, twisted, though. They've got some goals, and those goals are onto anyone's legend. 2 players still up for them right now, and it is just messed up inside of this. Batulin's hiding inside the US. Wicked on the other side of it. Jumps out, does get the knock. Sneaky Batulin strikes again.
That's wild. That was messy. That everything about that was messy, and it's still messy as we see a grenade come in. Soul does 57 damage to Batu.
Ебать.
But the car executes him to finish the job.
Jinji converging on this. T on the other side after Navi. Hakatori has a goal, though, and that drops 2 of the expendables right out of the BRDM as it rolls off into the horizon. Tanvu's still alive. Vegapunk nowhere to land as they're just still circling up into the heavens. As I got eyes onto Heather, who's finally starting to retreat. It looked like
Они как-то 100 очков до того, как я начал смотреть, набрали. Почему, как я начал смотреть, все как-то через жопу идет. Да, хорошо, базука была.
Shoot people driving.
Keep a panzer fast.
I kind of like this idea that they're like, we're going to go in the field. No one's going to be able to visual attack us because we're going to be at max range with our deployables. We'll just hold.
Look, the strategy is you set down multiple shields with Hakatori in the middle so he can just pop up and shoot at everything that's around him. Then he has full 360-degree control area around you. Voila, you win.
Hey, how many teams died with that BRDM? Like 4,
right? The expendables are now dead, so that's...
Yeah.
I mean, technically, they also ran over 1, so that would be 4.
Cursed. I'll take that. I'll take that. Quad. That BRDM's the MVP. Killed so many teams. So said inside of the shack, using his TP peek to get a little extra information up on the top of the hill. Not a bad spot, but hard to play offensively out of.
Hey, Vegapunk actually managed to land right next to T1. So a couple other players have managed to find some guns, some tools to use. E-Arena uses the distraction of them landing right on top of this to see if maybe they can make a push after T1. But, I mean, T1 just defending so cleanly right now. Only has 1 player get knocked. The Freaks, though, on the other side of this, they're playing in the field, and they've got Park Pro, the other side of Vegapunk, waiting to strike.
Cook it. Cook it. You know Salute's there. This should be an easy get from him when the time is right. Also, that was the first time T1 has been...
Что у вас там зависло? Спасибо.
Great job defending it. FW Esports eliminated elsewhere by the blue, and Bagopod does make the move. Type getting down and flushed might actually crack open their ability to hold this area.
It's also right on the edge of the zone, and Songjung actually goes to the...
Ну, хз насчет 17-х пока.
So T1 in a much more dangerous position than they were.
Карту сейчас покажут, посмотрим, где.
This spot from Navi being heavily rewarded, man. It just keeps getting the circle go right here.
Songjung actually snuck into that second 6-pack, and that is what did them in because they sent our Type over there to scout the next move up the hill, and he was ambushed inside the house. So nice little play by Songjung to find some extra points when there's not a lot left for 2 players.
Hakatori spots out Nurins, gets the knock onto him. Up to the north, let's not forget we still have 17. Jin G still alive, 4 players up. The way the circle is going to pop, though, it means that Jin G's hillside...
Бахадиркал, здравствуйте.
17 might go for a push on
50 тысяч вроде как.
Navi is going to be trying to hold out everything that's going to be happening with the
Ну и по 1000 за топ.
T1 has to make a move, and let's not forget about Opons right on top of it all. He does spot out Heather. Big shots coming up, and now Songjung, the last one up. The Freaks on a rampage over here, stacking up the kills more and more. 6 already. T1 got 5.
There's only, we got 2 more games, 1 more game to play. It was 1 more game, and the Freaks are out of control. 3 players up. T1 does manage to get the res, but I hope, man, I hope this comes down to a T1 Freaks showdown at the end of this match, because T1 needs to put some points in if they want to be able to chase them in the final.
$.
The benefit is everything's kind of fallen apart as far as the other squads around them. It's just...
Ну еще и за фраг 100 баксов.
17's getting ready to make their run. Keep in mind, Gen.G still has been very far back behind to defend. Where do the Freaks opt into going? I wouldn't be surprised if they might have eyes on this hillside as well. Gen.G's going to get a lot of friends really quick. Na'Vi is going to be able to take shots at the backside of this rotate. 17 collapsing on one side. It's going to be Freaks on the other side of it, at least splitting between the two. T1 also making a push into the compound that Songjung's at, all at the same time.
17 now tucked in here as they get aggressed from the top from Gen.G. Na'Vi from the bottom, but remember, Navi's down to about 30 rounds on each of their players. So there's not much they can do to help with the backstabs. They'll sort of reserve this for a push and possibly flushes, but they need Gen.G and 17 to really kick off so they can come in and clean up some ammunition and some utility afterwards.
I mean, Navi's already foot pushed across the road. They want to get involved in this. They know that there's a great chance for a stack of kills, and they are right back behind all of this. Hakatori has to be careful. Gen.G's positioning on the other side of it. Aware tries to go for a big nade, but it is rejected. Post going to deny.
Он старался, он попал.
They've got company. Danger close.
Hakatori managed to get a box on his way in. He's now fully kitted.
Сайга, сладкая.
Holding this line. He's got that S12K. Looks like he's going to throw a molly outside. He switches to it.
Бля, успел хорошо все сделать,
кстати. Duck back into the room to shut the door and buy a little bit of space. Nade bad bounce, blows the door off. Songjang waiting for his chance to go for the peek. There's the cook by EN. When he peeks, he'll get blasted, but he decides to bounce instead. Nice play. Songjang's still very, very low off the back of the grenade, using that 3-peek, but the molly is there. He saw him getting it ready to toss. Get on the toilet, boy.
The Freaks went down inside of all of this. Songjang kind of being the ruler to figure out which one of the other Korean teams has the best chance going into this last game. If he can take down T1, the Freaks are going to keep their lead. T1 realizing that they have an opportunity. Ian goes down. It's going to be Tosi at range. Koreans just destroying the dreams of other Koreans right now. Heather needs to take down Songjang fast. He needs to get Ian back up. They need to stack kills. And it is turning into a massive problem as Gen.G is the focal point for so much.
It does, but DN Freaks being down and T1 limping means that it opens the door for some other teams to pick up a few points here. Gen.G in actually a really good spot as they managed to hold Na'Vi off and 17 sort of stuck in the middle. Songjang still in this showdown with T1 as Heather would love to take this P90 and do a little bit of work.
Songjang just reads this perfectly. Time and
когда, значит, ну, завтра вот пойдем играть, да, наверное. Полетим. Где там?
These buildings are
Корею.
notoriously hard to push, and whenever you move
завтра
into
турнир нет.
TPP, it's just your death. Once you walk around that corner,
Да,
it feels like
обязательно.
everything goes wrong. That's why you see a lot
Я
of
вот как раз вот, знаете, сплю 5-6, там, 7 часов бывает. Я думаю, нахуй спать. Можно, в принципе, это время потратить на какие-нибудь турики. В принципе, я согласен. Можно. Смотрите, сколько у вас времени в сутки. 24 часа, когда вы можете что-то делать. А из-за сна вот меньше становится.
Right in after Heather, but now he's got to run back out on the other side of it. Heather just consistently being blinded, doesn't have the vision. Heather finally connects, takes him down. There's at least 1 point. We've got 4 teams remaining, and it's going to be Gen.G holding one side of the hill, Na'Vi on the other, Xiaowu in the middle, and now it is going to be about Heather trying to see if he can find anything else.
I think if that's not a P90, Heather loses that, but he gets a good spot, holds his position.
У него позиция это пиздец кайфовая, ему просто выйти на угол и все, и увидит.
In there for him, he's got 4 smokes, needs a couple of meds, and now has to push into
крайний дом. Он с крайним домом все фармит. Там Нави видно.
They finally exchanged some bullets, but I do believe that should be a resible situation.
Они тут стоят, кайфуют просто потому что там файт длился все время.
Revolutionary line, like literally firing lines across the field right now.
The big thing about that, though, is that Tosi going down was the southernmost player for Gen.G, and if they commit in a res, that's going to deny out 2 different points of potential impact, allowing Heather the potential to access this. The issue is Na'Vi. Na'Vi now has more control onto this angle and knows exactly where that firefight has been going on for so long. So unless Gen.G gets the reses up fast enough, it's also kind of its own precarious position for Heather. While Xiaowu
это четвертая катка, да?
Snake in the grass, waiting to ruin somebody's day.
Четвертая катка.
Being on this transition now, Gen.G, I like that they're being patient about it. There's a nice shift. So again, I would settle in for a little quiet time.
Oh, Heather's been spotted by both sides of this now. But Xiaowu is taking shots at Gen.G. That's going to distract. Na'Vi also kind of trying to figure out what's going on in the middle of this. They spotted out the vehicles, assuming that a Snake's finally starting to get a bit more active. Heather keeps taking the shots at Na'Vi. But Orca on the other side of it, there's nowhere to go. Zhao Wu goes down, so that's at least more placement points for T1. The longer he can stay alive here, but I mean, no one. Like,
Кстати, что будем играть? Да я пошутил насчет турика, ничего не будем играть.
Until Heather goes down. It's just not happening.
It's like they've agreed to work together before they end up going into themselves little 4v3. Heather with that P90 just very, very troublesome. And
может буду, хз. Смотрим. Может код какие-нибудь будут. Он по приколу залететь. Это финал. Кроме этой еще две катки остались.
Predominantly Na'Vi that's been having to hold back Heather. It's been a very big detriment to Na'Vi as Hackatory just has to stay focused in over here. And smoke after smoke keeps coming down. Heather just seems to have an unending supply. And he's actually getting pretty close to the circle. And look, Genji just keeps getting closer and closer to Na'Vi due to this.
То есть люди тут играют десятилетиями, ладно, пятилетиями, годами сыгрываются. И я такой стак соберу какой-нибудь, полетели, погнали, хуйни. Да все стаки новые рушатся тупо из-за того, что после какого-нибудь фейла они, блядь, тильтуют или дисбанды мутят. А сквадом друзьяшек нельзя потянуть, типа, высокий уровень.
12th place, but a win nonetheless here in this game. They will get the cash prize for getting that chicken dinner, as well as the kill cash to go along with it.
А главное, что бронзу взять и все как бы. Аура бронзовая будет конкретная.
Oh, Genji, you could have set the pace for everybody. Are you mean? Set up something like, I don't know, Miramar, Erangel, those types of things where you
Паг был баджет, паг.
Жену?
Жена!
Жена! Rondo of all places, Genji throwing us a curveball.
Twisted Mind's gonna be very happy with that as they've got a chance to get back in this, but it's gonna be all about who can chase down the Freaks and T1.
We're going to go ahead and throw it over to Colaris and Michael while we're getting ready for our last game.
Thank you very much, boys. Well, that I did not expect here as Genji throws an absolute ball against the wall for the last game as well. Joining me, Michael, to talk about that one here, as this was a spicy end, Michael. We were talking back and forth about how DM Freaks can move, how T1 can move, how Genji can move, how 17 can move.
Не, бля, муж крикнул, по-любому откликнется, нахуй. Нахрена мне такое палево?
So many teams have move on each side. You could play that game out 10 times and you'd have so many different winners just because the situations play out like so differently every time. If Irina had a stronger fight in T1 wouldn't have they wouldn't have had a chance at all, or then Genji gets pushed by 17. If 17 had pulled up on the north side of the hill correctly with an anchor, and then Genji don't win the game, then T1 can third party the hill. Like, it could have played out so many different ways if we played that over.
Yeah, definitely. As we were watching back some of the highlights from this game, I will say for Genji, having the compound that they did, as soon as they eventually were able to push off where anyone's legend was, where Twisted Minds was, and take control of the full hillside there for me, Michael, that felt like the pivotal moment for them to win this game when the circle comes their way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like most games, each game has been whoever has the high ground in this third-person lobby, you have to root for them to win the game. It's just, you have to see some world-class strategy, world-class players pulling off some insane plays, which is possible, but yeah, Genji definitely had it, should have had it in the bag for that win.
Yeah, not too bad. And of course, DM Freaks and T1 going up against one another. I felt like there was a moment where DM Freaks might have wanted to try and put the boot in a little bit against T1, but Heather standing strong and still surviving. There's been so many great individual players. We're watching as Little Ghost gets to pop off. The entirety of T1, the entirety of DN Freaks, Michael, really showing some world-class play here for the TPP.
Yeah, and especially Gluman as well. Being an IGL and performing to that level with so many kills is not... This is not what happens. Usually your IGL is so focused on plans that he's not thinking about getting kills at all. That's why you see players like Hackatory always top performing, because he doesn't have to think of that. Fairus is doing it. But Guman being able to top frag the tournament and IGL his team into first place is completely world-class level.
Well, for sure, as we take a look towards the very end of this game as well. And with Na'Vi being in the position that they were, I'm not too surprised, because where 17 went, Michael, was a little bit dicey, I think. What did you think about the position they took? Was there any other different options they could have taken? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if they look at that back, everyone knows the bowl they pulled up in is complete death, especially like when Genji are the only team on the hill. You need to do something creative. You need to pull up on the north side of the hill where Na'Vi can't just shoot you in the back as soon as you try and fight Genji. Like, they need an anchor.
Right, for sure. Let's check in with Bella though, and we'll get back to that in a moment, as she's down on the ground.
Alright, you guys were looking great. You showed up on day 2. Now I want to know what the prep process has been like for you guys.
Тихо, чем матч-то? Чего, я не понял. Один раз поиграли, блин, в баджет. Уже замуж. Уже мужили.
TPP มาเลยแต่แบบวันแรกก็เหมือนแบบยังจับจังหวะไม่ได้แต่พอวันที่2ก็แบบเริ่มจับจังหวะเกมได้แล้วก็ทำได้ดีขึ้นเงี้ย
둘째 날부터는 조금 자리 잡히고 해서 좋은 결과가 나왔던 것 같습니다.
I mean, day 1 we were just getting back from the flight, we were getting settled in, and then day 2 was when we could actually, play the game without the lack of practice that we were facing. It sounds about right. I feel like everyone's been pretty tired.
Мы с Таней больше наиграли в баджет.
Now you started off today as 4th. What was the talk like after ending day 2 so greatly? I would like to hear more about that as well. 이제 둘째 날을 4위로 마무리를 했어요. 어제 경기가 끝나고 난 뒤 어떤 이야기로 오늘 마지막 날에 임하기로 했는지 들어볼 수 있을까요?
ครับก็อย่างเมื่อวานนี้ผลงานเราได้ที่4ของวันนะครับซึ่งอยากทราบว่าวันนี้เรามีการเมื่อคืนนี้เราพูดคุยอะไรกันบ้างแล้วเตรียมงานกับวันนี้ยังไงบ้างครับ
Какую карту выбрали, кстати? Или они не выбрали еще карту?
어제 브리핑 좀 하고 오늘 준비하는 과정 속에 그냥 팀원들이 재밌게 좀 즐기고 오라고 얘기했습니다.
We did our usual briefing, and you know what? But I told the boys, let's just go have fun and enjoy playing the game like we always do. All right, thank you, Luxury. Thank you for joining us.
Кто победил вообще? Бля, кто победил, сука? Я сплю, что ли, уже, ебаный бро.
Both DMFreaks or T1 are predicted to win, each with 37.9% of the vote. You can really sense how the fans are feeling the energy. Coming in 3rd is Pegopa with 10.5%.
Небольшая, да. Генги? Ах, они извращенцы, они Рондо любят. Кошмар. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Well. The prediction of exactly dead even between DNFreaks and T1 from the public coming on in here to round this out. As that is going to be difficult here.
Да, у него там щетина, блин, наждачная, просто ошалеть.
Round things out as well. If you had to put your money on it, DNFreaks or T1, even though DNFreaks is kind of in the lead, who would you go for, Mr. Michael?
I think just based on how many donuts T1 has had this tournament, I would say DNFreaks. I think we've never seen T1 win anything. I don't know, they've been contesting, T1 should be 20-30 points in the lead, and I want to see DNF win because it's just, you can't be doing that if you want to be winning tournaments.
And it feels like eventually DNFreaks, this roster was always going to win an international, and if it's this one, good for them, right? Like, there was a lot of PGSs where I felt like they got close, could have done something. There was, like when you look at some performances across other internationals, I think they could have got close, but Freaks has really come into this very prepared, very strong.
Yeah, they just have a full TPP buff. In FPP, it's like they were Squirtle, and now they came to TPP and they're Blastoise, and they're just destroying everyone. They're all popping ultimate abilities on every game. Everyone's killing everything moving. It's insane by them.
Human's definitely the Squirtle, but he has become now the Blastoise. But he looks amazing, right? Like 7 kills in that game on Miramar. And then obviously I think a lot of people, if they're playing fantasy, might have also pivoted through the days to kind of at least include one of these members, if not human, looking oh so spectacular. Let's take a look at the points coming in from that game, though. It's 19 going the way of Gen.G, who have not had the best of times with it, let's be frank, but it is another South Korean team alongside T1 taking the lion's share of these points, Michael.
Yeah, it's just hard because this like Gen.G, they swap from B-Nigel to Orca, and Orca is their their superstar player. So they now have a lack of superstar player crisis because the IGL, it's not likely that he's going to be top fragging like human is. That's why it's such like a freak incident that you just see him popping off so hard.
Sure.
So I think they're struggling a little bit, but it's nice to see them get a win.
Here's our day leaderboard. STM Freaks once again leading the charge. Na'Vi, though, with a bounce back on a day number 3 considering we used to be thinking of them as day 1, and then that's it for a lot of the international tournaments that we've had so far. But Toffee's and Matchroom joining us back
Здоров,
again.
привет.
Toffees, you were casted alongside Matt for the rest of that game, and as well as the games that have been going on today. That was a fun ending here on Erangel, and now we're going to Rondo.
It was a chess
Привет,
match
здоров.
that sort of erupted into the firefight, and they come away with the win. And I think when you talk about this total leaderboard right now, Freaks at 138, T1 at 130, this map pick is really good for the Freaks. They are uncontested in their drop here on Rondo, whereas T1 very likely will get mixed up with Petrichor, who has nothing to lose. So there is a very good chance T1's going to have to off-drop this spot, which opens the door for weird things to happen. So I think Freaks is in a really good position.
Yeah, I think that what Michael was saying as well about T1 having to almost swallow a little bit of pride if they want to try and take away that top spot from DM.
Сколько у них еще? Ну, они накурились, что ли, там, а? Курить здоровью вредить.
By the looks of things, a 2-horse race, but one nation will stand strong at the top here in South Korea, unless we see the most insane game from Twisted Minds. And technically,
Кто не курит и не пьет, тот молодец. Молодцы, молодцы.
It's everything, but we also got paper.
We do. Let's let paper take it away and get it done.
To this one more game, the last match at the PUBG Players Masters Invitational. 2 teams in the hunt. The Freaks at T1.
Последняя катка? Я что-то проебал?
This is it. It all comes down to this one more match.
А, это последняя катка? Я вас обожаю. Спасибо, что по 5 каток вообще. Господи, солнышки ж вы мои родненькие. А, ребята, они не 6, они по 5 каток. Слава тебе, Господи, а. Все, давайте, финалочка. Я отсюда с балкона ссу, что ли, по-твоему? Блин, вот знаете, вы когда-нибудь на вписки ходили какие-нибудь? Ну там, по-любому, на вписках были, по-любому, ну, молодость, все дела. У вас был когда-нибудь такой друг, который постоянно, сука, ходил на балкон курить и ссать с него? У меня вот есть такой. Мне вообще похуй, с какого этажа. Он привык, что туалет всегда был занят.
And this is a hard tell because whenever we talk to Sonic regularly or we talk to the players, they do not ever want to give up their hot drops. Even whenever we saw them in PGCs and other stuff like that, they're like, no, we feel like this, it's like surrendering their pride as a team to give up this point. I'm very intrigued to see on, does the chance of winning deter them on drop, or do they stay in their committal? Do they think that, no, we can just beat Petrichor Road, we can get the 4 points, and that just puts us 4 points away from the Freaks? Do you risk it all if you're Sonic and you're the rest of T1? It's going to be crazy to see how it goes, but it does look like it could be a bit of an early jump, and T1 is going to be trying to aim for the win.
T1 looks like they are going to try to take this one. I like the decision. I do think there's a world where you can justify the hot drop as it prepares you for next year, because they're not going to get a chance to scrim against Petrichor. If they walk away here, which they will, they're going to be contested all next year. Twisted Minds and Na'Vi landing right on top of each other. Twisted Minds in 3rd place at 108. They have to have an insane game to have a shot at winning this. So I expect them to just sort of continue to practice their system. You kind of heard Patulin say this in his interview. We're working on it. It's a secret, but we're preparing. We focused all of this year, the end of the year, on PGC. We had a shot to win that. Now's our readjustment period. And that does feel like what we've seen here from Twisted Minds. Some good plays, but not the clean perfection that they're used to. You know what I mean?
Definitely not a clean perfectix at this event. I will agree with you on that one. But also, we haven't had a chance to talk about the circle has popped, and we actually have Jadina City, and it's into the east. But this is like a big opportunity for Molodok to learn a ton and really transfer the back over to his team and really garner a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill and make him an overall stronger player that we've been kind of analyzing how does he fit into Twisted. Where does he go after this with all of this information?
Maybe that's why he's dying first every time. They're not letting him listen to their comms. They're just like, you're a sub. You don't get to hear us. He's just muted. That'd be hilarious. No secrets from BBT.
Poor Molodok, just kind of stuck over there. This is a pretty crazy circle, though, because we still have the river that's cutting through right, I wouldn't say the direct middle, but just to the west of middle. We've got the lakes that are in play. There's still the convergence point between the river that's up to the north and the one that's coming in from Jadina City as well, where they got that little mini lake that kind of fits in on. And the way that the circle wraps, it kind of follows it along on that the western side of it. So the Expendables in a great spot at the start. T1 with that early jump onto Jadina City.
Что такое крадется?
This is interesting. Petrichor Road. You've got a couple of bullets and a dream. Gen G, I guess, just going to retreat from this. What else can you really do? All over the rest of Petrichor Road's after you.
Yeah, Petrichor's going to be closing this gap down. I like the circle you brought up. Oh, here they come. Very aggressive. Mingming's going to sort of lead the charge. Both firearms.
Что здесь происходит?
Pico coming in. There was nothing he could do. That was just overwhelming force.
Yes, give him the pan.
Right.
Petrichor Road,
and
I love
that
you.
man. But this so
Сковородкой.
we don't get water ratio until circle 4, which means that if we see a strong eastern shift right out of the gate, it's going to shake up these players very aggressively. They're going to have to really re-examine the way that they would normally play Rondo, because while we're used to seeing sort of this Neox test track, the right side of the river is not something.
Как китайцы корейцев-то не
I
любят.
would love nothing more than to see a really cool east shift that challenges our players on their last match of this event.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we saw one in one of the PGSs, and that's been about it. It was a crazy game because you get a lot of verticality in the way that these hills kind of recess down, and it makes it for kind of these multiple hilltop firefights. It's kind of similar to what can happen on Miramar. If you're an agent of chaos, though, anybody that's in chat or watching this, you want this to go southeast on the circle. Give us some Jadina City. Keep a lot of water in play.
Почему обнулили счет? Это сейчас показывает счет сегодняшнего дня. Общий счет тоже сейчас будет. Увидите.
So I do want to point out while that report is up there right now, for those of you watching at home, winning the overall is 50K, but winning the daily is $5,000. So while Na'Vi is not in the hunt for the overall right now, they are only 9 points short of winning the daily, which means that with this centralized location and a quick transition, they could make $5,000 and take that away from Danawa. Now, if DN Freaks, however, does make that choice and they win the day and the overall, that's a $55,000 afternoon.
This is intriguing. T1 has left Jadina City. They've gone more north. That's going to put them very close to the Expendables. After this, anyone's a legend. So there is the opportunity for some firefights because you know the Expendables are going to try to keep territory control reigning, taking some damage but doesn't get knocked. Duck Juice calling for reinforcements. Delwyn's going to be the guy that just runs right after it, but Duck Juice with the nade doesn't get the knock. T1 staying alive as the rest of the reinforcements for T1 come in. Delwyn gets spotted, doesn't go down.
Nice play there. Wicked is going to get the drop on Delwyn. Long distance shooting to try to cover up this push. Ian makes a nice play. Remember, he's not even like involved. This is supposed to be T1 versus the Expendables. Anyone's legend is just stealing what they can.
Duck Juice, that peek back was dirty. Ian goes down. Remember, we still don't have anyone's legend at range. Involved with one of their players. Kalori's on the other side of the wall. Tanvu's now got himself the Panzerfaust out. Ian slowly bleeding out. Heather bleeding out. More pressure starting to mount onto T1. They've got to get themselves back.
Ой,
Ian does get fought.
ну вот, блядь, ну просто в стенку уебал и взорвал чела.
2v2 very quickly, but everything is starting to be more and more difficult. Peaks between every single angle up on top. Tanvu coming up big.
We're using windows that they didn't even know existed for this fight as Type goes around the corner, gets the pop, drop, and flush on Clories. T1 is eliminated as Duck Juice makes the play. The Expendables in a compound.
Ну, Т1. Теперь ДНФ и твисты фармят всех. Пожалуйста! Нервов не хватает уже. Ой, твисты с бордом. Хорошо. Хорошо, хорошо. Блин, в таком месте в ТПП это вообще жопа. Ну что, Бардем на разведку идет.
Driving back and forth through that's a great way to find someone. Just drive circles around the radar complex.
It's fine. I dare you to take shots at me. Now you're just going to be revealed. Show, yeah, you've now just been...
Блять, нет! Ух, сука. Ёбаный в рот. Блять, да отбили! Пиздец.
All right, they're playing 17, playing this very, very carefully. Little Ghost going to go some smokes and try to move forward, wants to get around the BRDM. Batula now actively surrounded by 17 Game. He's got vision on the first peak. Grenade going to get cooked up here. First throw, followed by the second. Batulan somehow survives the flash, jumps back into the BRDM, and lets the grenade do its work.
Так, ну а теперь есть... Блять, Нави подъехала, ёпарасты. Соло. Понюхать просто, посмотреть. Уедет? Хотят, сука. Базуки нет, слава тебе, Господи. Ну, блин, ну вот, выходные эти, Дурик. Ой, Дурик, блядь. Дурик, извините. Третий день, все, ну, по 3 дня турики. Да это просто, как сказать, Player Masters Invitational, это... Что-то типа рофла турика, знакомительного в ТПП, я так понимаю. Я ни на кого не говорил Дурик, я просто хотел сказать Турик, и вместо ТД получилось, извините. Здорово, пингвин. Здорово. У меня уже просто, вообще, у меня же крыша летит нафиг с этих туриков. Сколько мы их уже посмотрели за этот месяц, это просто пиздец. Здорово, Гулечка.
Yeah, and freaks know the fact that they just have to play a slow, steady control game. But remember the way that these rivers kind of come in from the north and the south.
Black Budget, я так понимаю, ты про него спрашиваешь. Если ты знаешь, что такое Тарков, то это тоже или тот же жанр. Крафтон у нас новую игру выпускает. Называется PUBG Black Budget. По аналогии Таркова, только, ну, в нем есть все хорошее со всех экстракшн-шутеров. Да, мне очень зашел. Да, им бы по-другому просто назвать игру. Не папка, блядь, Black Budget какой-нибудь просто. А то говорить папк постоянно. Это PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, как бы это все-таки означает. Просто вот почему название PUBG, двоеточие, Battlegrounds, когда PUBG это и так PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. 2 раза Battlegrounds. Ну что это за тавтология не к месту. Тогда уж PUBG... Нет. PUBG. И PABB какой-нибудь тогда. PlayerUnknown Black Budget, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Как-то не подумали они. Пиздец. Вестник не дали. Чё вы тут, блядь, слоупоки делаете? Просто за зоной там, ой, я не знаю, ну и ротацию типов. Третье лицо, да. Да все в третьем лице сейчас будем жить. Кайфом. Нет, Silent, блин. В новой игре без батлграундсов надо. УБГ. Вот и все. Вот те и названия. Есть пабг, есть PUBG. Вот теперь. Он так сильно хочет пробить крышу или что? Интересно.
It's PO on one side, now it's Park Pro, a Khan on the other. It is Tanvu, though, so you got to give him respect. Khan prepping the nade, Tanvu prepping the counter nade. Khan getting some damage, but there's just too many angles. So Khan's going to finish it out with the nade. And that is going to be the Expendables eliminated. Bigapa finding some more points.
Это за синьки стреляться.
Remember, 17 has gone down, so there is a world
тоже мне
where
моду
Bigapa
нашли.
can end up in 4th place.
Когда ДНФ убьете все? Чего они играют? А где фальконы? Вообще про них не слышно уже в две катки. Понял. Фига. Виражи какие исполняет.
Doctor really wants to get rid of this glider. That's going to be this is a Kraken just kind of roaming around, trying to get some more information for his boys.
Или я перепутал?
He's going to be over the other side of the river, getting pretty
Фура не
close to
фалькон.
Mayron. Mayron belongs to 4 Angry Men right now. To the south of that's going to be FW. Jin G is holding down position just to the west of that. At the crux center position of it all is going to be E Arena playing in the lake right next to where the two rivers converge. Navi's going to be on the other side of it. Of course, Petrichor Road to the south, and then we see this dust up between JDG, the Freaks and Falcons all in the west.
Да можно просто без батл? Я не понимаю, почему тебе. Player Unknowns. Black Budget. Там нету Battlegrounds. А обычный пабг это просто Battlegrounds тогда уж. Player Unknown. Что ты все, блин, придумываешь-то? Краткость нужна. Я за краткость. Ой-ой-ой. Давай, в ДНФ. Кажется, там базуку видели. Поля. Вынужденная остановочка.
Our Falcons read it. Falcons, let's go ahead and get a listen in as they make this push.
Don't be
Вы сейчас бы по голове своему. Эх, жалко. Выбили.
Okay, one pull up flash one. Behind us? Car on our left. That's it, play off and goes. Maybe that okay. One standing outside. One standing inside.
Хорошо.
Oh my god.
Квесты. Пора.
Yeah, we're good, we're good.
Пора делать грязь. Есть один там стример так любит говорить. Да ты гонишь. Бля, ну сделает, как думаете, а? Бля, надо делать. Он увидел, что ДНФов ёбнули и все. Ну сейчас вообще зеленый свет на это все делает. Это надо. Только не навернись, пожалуйста, а. Багнуть может Матак, понимаете? Не от него даже зависит. Бля, рецать надо. Рецать и выигрывать, сука. Давай, молодой. Давай, молодость, юность. Красота. Делает. Делает. Двоих рецает, что ли, да? Ведь двоих? Двоих же? Двоих вроде. 15 секунд там, да, двоих должен. Ты ж умничка, молодость, господи. Молодец. Молодечек! Кто это? Красавчик, просто. И 104 чабуня! Все, теперь домой. Пора домой. Батут там на развед, на патрули. Бля, у него просто, у них позиция просто въехать в себя, скушать и играть, блядь. Хоть бы прок наверх и все, и все. Ну просто, блядь, слава тебе, яички. Делаете, пацаны, а? Молодость вернется домой, и все хорошо будет.
4 a.m. and FW gonna have to go to war over this position. And Begapa, the team that wants
Какие ж красавчики, а?
Longs opens the door. They got a couple smoke guns.
Все, летят, родненькие. Упасть, приземлиться, пожалуйста.
Yeah, they're just going to run back to where we saw the firefight happening a second ago with Twisted Minds. 4 angry men getting damage onto FW. 6-Axe going to go down. 4 angry men, that nade looks pretty good, but oh, it's going to be mostly eaten by the vehicle, so it's going to be just enough. But then on the other side of it, it does spot out of a Tongmu. The glider has made landfall. 4 angry men does have one of their players down, and it's going to be Banana 1 that spotted it.
They're going to get rid of Raze and reduce 6-Axe to 4 as they have to push the final 2 here over the top of the hill. They've got to smoke out. They're trying to make...
Бля, Далу нокнули, сука.
At all, aggressively pushing this up over the top, and that is why sees him first, gets the blow,
бля,
and FW Esports is eliminated just...
Фу нахуй, плагиат, ебать. Там другое лу.
Runs right into a strong point that puts them right in between JDG and Na'Vi both. This is going to be pretty hard to survive from. Na'Vi at least playing the lower side of this right now. The only reason Begapa is feeling a bit more comfortable.
Тут же плагиат развели тут.
Trying to get their loot situation as good as it can before they have to run in E-Arena in a great point right next to him. But Twisted in their own strong point. Issue is Twisted's got to find kills. They've got to get looted quick and they've got to get this together and go.
There we go. There's some shooting going on from Tozy. There's a Lynx in that car somewhere.
Давай, фальконы, отъедете только от наших, ладно? По красоте сделайте хоть раз. Приятно. Приятно, Саня, можно сделать? Нет? Спасибо. Делайте. Делайте приятно, пацаны. Давай, 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 давай! Одну хп! Бля, хп! И хорошо! Ой, хорошо! Закидывайте всеми говнами, которые лутали, все делайте. Давай, давай, вот этого, вот этого! Вот этого увидеть! Хорошо! Еще, последнего жрать! Последнего. Пинайте всеми ногами, руками, глаз всем пинать идите. Вместе, вместе, вместе!
Maladox sacrifices his life. Lou, accuracy through volume, but Tulin says cars are for killing. And takes the BRDM around. His favorite trademark so far.
Бля, молодость, пожалуйста, заведите в зону, бля! Ну, пиздец. Ехать резать, мне похуй. Не надо. Зона. Все-таки как-никак. Ладно. А болеть за кого-то это приятно, на самом деле. Эмоции хоть какие-то смотришь, есть, интересно. Да я ж знаю, что я понимаю, ну просто, хотелось... Ну, хотелось, чтобы их 4 было, ну, поймите меня. Так, что-то придумают, нет? Что придумают? Что-то придумать надо. Что тут, бля, я карту хотел открыть, нельзя же открыть карту. Ну, да, на руках можно было бы, конечно, с одной стороны. Ну, Тёк-то первый раз вроде даже. А, не, он второй раз тёк. Он второй раз тёк. JDG, though, do you go for Park Pro and the guys from Begapa first, or do you just try to figure out some way to get into the circle? The east of them's pretty open. It looks like they just want to take care of Begapa. And Begapa, it's more potential points, but that's going to be Songjong down. Park Pro, the last one up. It feels like 4th might be a bit too far. They're going to get eliminated in 5th. JDG, only 4 points behind them now. That's the worst people to give those kills to.
Absolutely. I don't know if there's a world where Twisted Minds can get 9 or 10 kills plus the win, but if they could, it would be truly epic. In the meantime, Na'Vi still on track to win the daily 5,000. They have lost no one, and they still have a decent spot in the circle to pick up their needed points.
Na'Vi playing this lower section of the hill means that JDG's push could be pretty aggressive before they get a chance to firmly defend. Hard to go for peaks. Ferris is playing more to the north to try to make sure that nobody goes for a peek up and over it. Twisted using the BRDM, playing right along this lake.
Так.
Going to find themselves a place to at least stop over next
Конечно,
to E-Arena.
пережить.
They need to get a ton of kills. E-Arena is going to be right up in front of them. E-Arena just 2 points behind Na'Vi at the time.
They would like to make a push up here as they
Ёб
climb
твою
those
мать.
boards. Example does dodge the explosion over the top of his head, but EA being very aggressive, where Twisted Minds is really stuck in a very small little grotto here without a lot of options. Lou's got to figure out how to get up to this high ground and supplant E-Arena. I don't know how you do it.
There's a ton of smokes that they've had to drop because they are vulnerable to JDG's positioning. JDG is still just trying to get in the circle, though. Cold is going to go down. That was a bit too close to AL. Fairest also going to be spotting. This is going to open up some more movement potential for Twisted. Now that JDG is starting to go down, Navi's finding the kills on it. So that's going to open up Twisted to be able to look back into this, see if they can maybe vulture up some points or go for E-Arena, one of the two. We're down to 20 alive. That means that there are 17 targets.
Бля, ну эти хаешка сделает. Сделала! Гарнитуре, блять! Еще бы одну такую же, а?
The BDRM off to the side, look for Batu to throw this grenade, jump back in, and maybe drive up on them.
Унес. Ай, летит в ответку, бля.
Nade's coming back over onto Batu. He takes some damage. He has to get away from it.
Доби, нокнули, у них нокают. Делают, идут все-таки делать. Давить будет, нет? Резно.
Meds come up at range, though. There's nowhere really for E-Arena to go because Furia is pouncing on the back of this one. Twisted needs the kills. Furia is getting involved right on this perfect opportunity. But Tulin's trying to go for some runovers. Juking between, but Kraken gets a knock on an end.
Хорош! Ибо нехуй! Блять! Что? Он куда кинул хаешку, бля? Он просто кинул на рандом в ебеня и попал в ноги экзамплу. Батут, ехать экзампла резать. По-любому. Хорошая позишенка. Все нормально. Куда ты прешь?
Furia knows they've got momentum in the firefight. They know exactly where Batu's had to go, just trying to use the rock for some form of cover, some form of safety. But there's just too many players from Furia. Twisted Minds does get eliminated. This lines up every.
Третья 100%.
Gonna be going for a backflank on Furia. Na'Vi going for a foot push after Furia on the other side.
I don't remember what the daily score was for Freaks.
На ТПП вводите, короче, 2000 джикоинов.
Right up on them. I think it was somewhere between 89 and 91. So if Na'Vi can finish this out with just a couple more kills or a first place, that's a $5,000 end game for them. So as they go into this 4v4v4, they have to make sure they're playing it right because that's a big chunk of change.
Big potential game for Na'Vi. 88 points. Every
Как они зря говорит Na'Vi.
On the other side of that, anyone's legend playing up
Хуй знает куда. Вон Кваркот.
They've got 9 points separating. Oh no, sorry, 11 points separating them out. Sosed's gonna spot out Gizera, get the knock onto him, and it feels like this section of the circle belongs to Na'Vi and Furia just right up on the.
Я всего лишь партнер этой игры. Откуда мне знать, куда вводить ходы, блядь?
But there's just two different teams waiting to pinch down on them.
Furia's got such a good high ground position. Na'Vi just trying to make the most out of what they got, and what they got's a P90.
Все, я не выдаю, сорян.
The problem is anyone's legend is a bunch of hungry monsters as they spread out and take up most of the zone. That's bananas how wide their spread is.
Oh, the high ground just no.
О, это что там за спрей такой был? Что там за спрей был?
Anyone's legend on the other side, nades starting to be a bigger and bigger threat.
Ой!
That's going to be 2 down. Follow up nades going out.
Ой!
Nowhere to really go. It curves over to the side. Rock being just enough. Finally, it's going to connect. Na'Vi gets a ton of kills off of it.
I think that's going to be them as our day winner. They also climb into 5th place. Na'Vi told by our coaches today, we're working on a secret strategy for TPP. Well, maybe we're seeing it in action right now because that secret strategy is go all out, throw grenades, and don't be scared to push.
So Ozzy goes for a good shift down to the south. tries to keep containment on Na'Vi, who is after those kills. Hakatori goes down. Himas finds him. Sololzi doing a good job on keeping him alive in this position. The longer he can hold this, there is nowhere for Na'Vi to go. Wicked being the guy that's holding down the center. Soul now going for a flanked position up on top. And this little bit of a dip that Navi's been playing for so long is starting to be its own doom.
Sololzi in a pretty good spot here. Anyone's Legend took a while to turn on. They've had some calm challenges throughout this event. It's nice to see them 4 up in the finals of this match.
Pacing, slowing back down. Na'Vi wants to go for as much of a reset. Tries to deny out some of these angles.
В пизду там хаешка ебаная была, ну, пиздец просто.
Because it is a 2-1-1 defensive line coming up from anyone's Legend. If anybody, Wicked, Sololzi goes down, that's the turn of the tide and turns this back into a 3v3. Man advantage right now with anyone's Legend means that they're playing way bolder. Soul just running out in the middle of all of this, tempting Na'Vi to take the shots, reveal how their defensive line has set as phase number 7 slowly closing out. Everything is just going to come down to how this next circle sets.
Absolutely. It's a great showdown. Navi's got the most to lose right here. They don't really know how many points they have overall, so they need to get everything they can out of this one to get that day win, as well as a huge add of kill cash, right? Every kill, guys, is $100. So for however this end game goes, if Navi picks up these last 4, that's a big boon to their tournament.
Китайцы какие-то. А, нет, это не Китай, это Вьетнам. Вьетнамцы.
Deny out this crossfire angle. Soul, Himas, a dynamic duo in a higher ground position, looking down to see if they can snatch any form of attempt that Na'Vi can go for. The circle pops, and it goes right into the middle of it all. Sololzi gets some vision, starts to throw out some nades. Na'Vi just nowhere to really go, at least trying to find some way to firefight their way in, but everything feels stacked against them. Himas on top of a building, trying to deny. Sololzi taking enough damage, but looming threat in Himas waiting to open up as slowly and steadily Na'Vi is creeping forward. Ferris, gotta be careful.
They're doing a great job using those double blues to try to push them off the rock. They do manage to get that knock on Sololzi with lethals. Himas returns and gets extend. Now Sosed's close. Got the headshot. Couldn't finish the job though. He needs to get this knock. I see a screaming in. He wants the flank match.
Вьетнамцы.
Jumps out, tries to go for the back flank onto it, does get the knock. We're back into a 2v2. Himas going for a similar idea. Counter moves. It is red though. Himas has been spotted. Goes for the side position. Nades out. Tries to rain him down a bit too far away from. Actually rolls down. Does get some damage. Not entirely red just yet. Remember the fact that Na'Vi still has to get into this circle and is firmly controlled by AL with 2 different sides of the circle in control and a crossfire set up for Na'Vi. They have to hit their shots if Na'Vi wants any dream of making it into the zone.
It's tough to do against that P90. Himas using it great. He's got 45 rounds left in the chamber, 16 on reserve. Sosed down to 40 and 29. Both teams going to be a little more careful here. Na'Vi ends up at 10 kills. Himas putting in work with that P90. He's going to smoke for the jam forward. Ferris has a little bit of a side shot. Gets the flush on Soul, but gets knocked down by Wicked.
Ну давай, 2 в 1.
Sosed now the last one up. Himas knows exactly where he is, and the aggression starting to come out from Himas. Playing into the smokes. Sosed spots one at range, but so much danger. Far closer. Himas, P90, peeks across the rock, and anyone's Legend takes our last map.
They get 9 kills and the victory, but Na'Vi still walked away with 10 and a lion's share of the placement points. So while we know that it's most likely the Freaks that win, there's a world where Na'Vi also gets a big cash prize today.
I mean, a ton of kills. You were talking
Ну что, вроде конец.
So much on.
И кто-то в куртках сидит, кто-то вон с вентилятором. Я вообще ору.
25 PUBG Players Masters Invitational Champions are the DN Freaks! DN Freaks, please come on down to the center stage.
Кто-то вьетнамец. По балде зарядит еще. Да, действительно, как же развивать-то флаг? Стыдобень. Его работа так орать. За полтос зеленых. За топ косарь за каждый килл сотка. Все в рублях, конечно же. Зеленых.
And of course, that is the DM Freaks taking the victory here. Congratulations to them, the PPMI champions. Joining me, everybody, to talk about this one. As tough as DM Freaks finally getting themselves that international trophy.
Exactly, that's massive, right? The last time we saw a TPP tournament at this level, Korea won. The last time that Korea lifted an international trophy was 2 years ago, and here they finally break it. They break in, they raise a trophy again, and it seems apropos that it's the first of the return of TPP that they do it.
Yeah, Michael joining us here as well. They've been keen to get this victory. We were talking about how they were kind of on the edge of getting a victory throughout 2025.
Вот чела носа нет, прикиньте, Волан-де-Морт сидит. Азиатский. Я вообще в шоке.
Yeah, I think DNF might be added to the list of teams coming into tournaments that instead of just being like, oh, they might get top 3, they might start saying they can win this tournament, the same as T1, because Korea is so far ahead of everyone else, it seems, in third person so far.
Looking very good. Matchroom, of course, casting the final moments of this game as well. By the end, of course, it does look like Na'Vi actually might take that daily winners here. But I think the boys are right. I think people have to catch up with Korea and where they currently are.
I'm trying to figure out how high up on this overall leaderboard also Na'Vi is, because they managed to stack up a pretty decent amount. I don't know if they managed to jump over the Falcons at the end of it. I think they might have.
Yeah, probably, considering they're getting all the way to that late game against Anyone's Legend. It's about time Anyone's Legend showed up here, of course. They were definitely working with some trials, I will say, Toffees, when it comes to the setup.
I mean, they were just, honestly, it just, they were 4 guys who were good players having a great time, right? They had some visa issues. They made the best of what they could, and it's fun to see a Legends roster. That said, though, I just can't get over how powerful, as Michael said, Korea was. Having Kylaris on a cast with Korean dominance, it feels a little StarCrafty, but I kind of dig it.
I mean, you yesterday were
Давайте таблицу я запущу, пойдем разойдемся, да отдохнем.
But yes, our Korean overlords, you're not wrong. I'm very used to that across 15 years. Although, you know, some other challenges.
Experienced, Claris. You're experienced.
Thank you. Yes, I would just go with the word old, but anyway. Na'Vi with some insane nades towards the end, Michael. And Hakatori, he lands them like the very best.
Yeah, I've never seen someone get so many double knocks with grenades in national events like Hakatori. Every single game, every single late game, he's getting double knocks. He just give Furia a complete knuckle sandwich of grenades right there.
Definitely.
Well, the kid's nuts, man. It doesn't matter how they do. He's always a good fantasy investment because Hakatori is like God mode 24/7. It doesn't make any sense. He is the future of PUBG esports. There's no doubt about it.
I think my question is as well is where is
Куртки
Seoul
модные.
ending up in 2026, right? Because obviously they get 19 points in this game. Yes, Anyone's Legend here. They're working with some difficulties and stuff like that. But Seoul, we know Matrim, he is still a fragger if he's on the right team. In D plus Kia, it was him carrying that backpack strong. So wherever he ends up on 2026, maybe we'll see some more Seoul there.
I mean, whenever we're looking at the talent that Korea's bringing out, we've seen Red Zone over at PGC. We've had just the rise of a whole bunch of new potentials and teams. You have to feel like Seoul is going to find somewhere to land and have a massive series for himself. But it's anybody's question right now, because now as we made the shift over into TPP, I'm really intrigued on how much roster swapping we're actually going to see in Korea, because look at how dominant they are already. If they start trying to build up some power teams, this is going to be brutal for the other regions to deal with.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who would make changes. Maybe a Genji change here.
We'll take Seoul.
Who, sorry?
Me, I'll take him.
You'll take Seoul.
Join my team. He's a Copenhagen Wolves now.
Yeah, I heard the Wolves are actually I heard they're going to change their name to Blues Brothers because they're so sold out on booking this. It's been a wild game, though, and I've been excited to see. Day leaderboard, there it is!
Oh, thank you, Toffees. Yeah, we've got Na'Vi winning it out the end, so they get themselves a cool extra $5,000 to their names, beating out DM.
За победители... Победители дня $5000 еще получают.
Go away, DN Freaks. still Twisted Minds is up there as well, Toffees. They had a banger of a tournament, just not good enough to keep up with South Korea.
I mean, yes, but we also have been told in the interviews that they haven't prepared for this at all, where we know South Korea has already been doing their pubs and scrims in third person. So to me, that is a breath of fresh air for all you EMEA chads to say, hey, we have a team who even
Бонусов куча, короче.
still putting up incredible numbers and playing very, very well. I think that's good news for you.
Oh, definitely, definitely. All right, well, Matchrim, what an event. It's been an exciting one, definitely different to what I was expecting, right?
I was expecting this to be way more casual, but you can see up at the top of this one, we are going to get the freaks.
Ну все, я заскринил. Что у нас? DN Freaks. Ну, наша третья. Второй молодцы. Прямой что-то вообще, конечно.
Was it? I can't remember when they dropped it. And Yulin, yeah, they contested Yulin. Game ended in Yulin. T1 lost the hot drop, got 15th place. They lost the hot drop, and they were only 6 points behind. It's insane. They actually kept this level with contestant in 3 out of 4 maps.
Crazy stuff.
Ладно. Все, расходимся. Всем спасибо, что пришли, посмотрели, поболели и ушли. Всем отличного воскресенья. Да, отдыхать. И с наступающим Новым годом. Уже совсем скоро. 9 дней осталось почти. Что там? Ну как, ну ладно. Есть. Всем пока. С боссом что, продолжение? Посмотрим, ребят. Посмотрим, что по плану сегодня будет. Еще в ТГ там анонсы и все такое. Напишу, скину весь стрим. Увидимся, в общем. Пока-пока.